What is up, y'all? It's your boy Aniki coming at you with another video live stream Church of MHA Season 3, Episode 29, I believe we're on. My Hero Academia, Chapter 369, live reaction and discussion. It's been an extra day, so you get a little late for a stream. I hope you guys have been doing well. The anime continue its strong streak. New episode of Bleach dropped. You better believe I'm happy about that. Been waiting for the 1,000-year blood war for a long time. J. Michael Holmes, first in. And there's Tanisha Greer, too. Okay, my people are pulling up. Let's see. Let me get this in the Discord. Mostly because it's the right thing to do. Got it. Understand that I'm live streaming. I chose this path. No. Let's see. Devontae Kemp, Lamar Arrington. Okay. Yep. See, we dropping the night church this week. And apparently we're on break. So the rumors go. So guess we'll have Sunday off. We'll see if I can squeeze anything in there. Probably not because I'm usually busy, but I can try to squeeze something in there. We'll see. But let's go ahead and make sure everybody who needs to know knows this is where they need to be. Now, try to avoid any spoilers. This is still a live reaction. Whenever we have these Monday chapters, I just delay reading it an extra day. So don't randomly say like, oh, on the last page. No, please don't do me like that. I know most of y'all know, but in case anybody new shows up in the first 5 minutes, please know, I actually do genuinely live react. This is what you waited for. Okay. This is what you all adore. Okay. Also, every person who has spent the past year, Horikoshi's rushing because he said he's going to get it done in a year. I need to know how you feel right now because he straight up admitted in his author comments this week, he was like, well, I guess it's been like 10 months since I said a year and I'm not done. I tried to warn you from the day he said that he thought Sports Festival could be 10 chapters that y'all needed. And this is why I said Hori was watching, because I think I mentioned this last week, maybe the week before. I was like, Horikoshi said Sports Festival was going to take 10 chapters, and look how that turned out. I tried to warn folks, let them know. Assuming an author has accurately estimated the number of chapters they got left. If an author cannot tell you, I have 15 chapters left, and they're storyboarded, don't listen to his estimate. Just don't even care about it. He could even be right, but just don't listen to him. If they can't give you an exact chapter count, you might as well not believe them. And I want you to keep that in your mind from now on for the rest of the time you consume manga, especially if it's weekly. Because Karibo, they pretty much never accurately do it, because what ends up happening almost every single time is they go, okay, yeah, this could be like a couple chapters. And like what ends up happening is they're like, wait, no, I did want to talk about this. I wanted to finish this, and this. And so what usually happens is an A to B to C to D to E timeline is drawn out in their head. And then it's like, wait, no, this needs to be finished. That needs to be finished. I want to finish that, etc. I don't see this ending in February. So yeah, he also did warn people that there would be a chance. If there's almost no way this is ending unless something insane happens this chapter, Jason. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this open because we got about 25 people in here, and that's actually pretty fast for the Monday night stream, because usually if people aren't catching it on Sunday, then it's a toss up between whether or not people show up or not. So we're gonna hop right in. 369. Nice. All right. Strange. How can this be? Your meta ability. Okay. Timeout. So we get a flashback. A flashback to All for One against the second user of One for All. Chapter titled A Chain of Events Across the Ages. And we see there's a bullet that seems to have been going slow in air, and then it comes in a little faster. We see All for One shedding tears. I think it's kind of fascinating that the lower half of his face is still darkened, even though we've seen his real face at this point. And then we see boom, zoom, crunch. Was only meant to work on small objects. Never more than a lackluster pea shooter. It would be laughable to describe your actions as any sort of meaningful resistance. Such was your insignificance. You unruly insect. That's all you were meant to be. How? How is it I can see them now? And then, all right, so that Detroit smash sent him falling. We see the little trail behind the transmission on the arm, so him making contact with his hand seems to have sped those up. We see the same thing being consistently maintained with his legs too. So there's clearly an emphasis on the shifting gears and how it creates a trail behind him in his motions, basically giving him actual speed lines. Interestingly enough, this imagery is similar to the sketch we got for the anime last week, where he was in the little goop. He reached in the goop and then jumped out. So that's kind of fascinating. Quirk gear shift. Much like the other meta abilities, gear shift strength grew alongside One for All's. Its scope broadened, allowing it to apply to more diverse targets and function right down to the cellular level. Then there's the pure simple might built up within One for All. A fist imbued with these two overlapping powers, Detroit Smash can warp the very laws governing reality. Quintuple. Yo. Did my man just, first off, whenever Hori draws Deku in eel face, you know he really kicked it into overdrive. And I kind of like the fact that that's kind of how people were talking about it even before this, like, oh, Deku's going in overdrive. Got that eel face effect. And here we see, once again, the speed lines, all of it, just smashing the boy. Jesus. Smash. Ooh. And then, let's see, a lighter blow than before. This time it didn't have that glow heat built up. Perhaps it's too fast to perceive, but based on the trajectory of the last, I can surmise the angle and timing of the next one. And nowhere, low gear shift. Adjust speeds without abiding by the laws of inertia. Shouldn't you know that already? All for One. So basically, at any moment, he can readjust his speed, the tempo he's moving at. Yes. Make sure you drop those likes. Ooh-wee. Yeah, this chapter is going to be insane. Let me make sure I have the link ready for people like Thomas in case they want to slide through. I know it's a Monday night, so it might be a little difficult, especially since it's basically midnight by you, Thomas, possibly even like 1 a.m. But if you can pull up, then I'm sure you're going to have a lot of good things to say. Oh, the drag force, man. There's a lot that can be going into this. And dangerous, in that case, pathetic. From above, after adjusting my timing, I can use the force dangerousness to detect the threat and the 6th smoke screen to obscure his vision. Then the 7th floats provide some instant height, and the 5th black whip catches him unaware, so I can bind and yank him towards me. Finally, that earlier quintuple attack gave me a refill of the 3rd Fajins for another blast of overdrive, courtesy of the 2nd's gear shift. So the other thing that I really like about this is that, one, we've talked about in the past, like, oh, people were like, oh, Hori's going to give Deku a bunch of broken quirks and then he's going to be OP. And like having the ability to tamper with the laws of inertia and gravity and acceleration and momentum is a little strong. But if a character basically, like, he's basically Beautiful Joe, but cooler. Which y'all know I'm old, so it's whatever. But specifically, even when, inevitably We see Melvin get his quirks back. We have to acknowledge that there's stuff that he's doing here that is lethal partially, and the only reason that this Shigaraki is currently making it through, the only reason his body is surviving is because it's in durability mode. All of these attacks, when outside of that especially durable state that's going to slow him down, cause him to be more sluggish and whatever, all that, like if he starts catching overdrive blows without that extra safety, it's going to be hard. This is not going to be an easy task to deal with. So, just getting back into it, our meta abilities were never what you should have been wary of. Rather, you should fear the reason why someone chooses to use their gifts. True power resides within an individual's intent. This is why this time I'm giving it everything I've got. You're going to be the one to complete one for all. All for one. You don't get, let's see, we see Mirio picking up, let's see, is that Nigeria he's picking up and scooping out of there? Let's see. All right. So yeah, Mirio's picking up Nigeria. Mirko and Sun Eater are off behind the garbage. It looks like Sun Eater is still unconscious, but she's standing. Deadshot is still performing surgery. And then Genist is trying to do something, probably trying to help in whatever way he can. Silence, you insects, you maggots. We see like different finger pieces are, let's see, you don't get to hurt anyone else. Let's see, people call them quirks. Let's see, okay. Let me see, you're gonna be the one to complete one for all. People call them quirks. And then, ooh. He punched a hole in this man's chest. An actual hole. We're resonating. One for all with all for one. And all for one with one for all. I can see my brother. The young man with the bean eyes was correct. And of course, there's a little drawing of Mirio to emphasize that he's the one with the bean eyes. The course of this battle, the chain of events leading to this moment, has shaken the balance of their supposed melding. The idea of them just calling him the bean-eyed individual, one of the users, is kind of funny to me. Here comes your moment, boy. Don't forget what Shimura said. You can't take it easy just yet. Giving everything you've got, you say. And that business about quirks, surely you jest. I haven't even used a single quirk yet. I've yet to brandish the true value of this body. They're to blame, wretched, unsightly Eraserhead and his merry brats. And this tomb of theirs, sneaky, ramshackle ploy to divide us. So one of the things that we had talked about is how All For One pretends he's way hotter shit than he is. And we were talking about this specifically during the Endeavor fight sequence, where Endeavor starts dog walking him because he's just not holding back any of his raw firepower. And what ends up happening is, once again here, we kind of see All For One going through like the 5 stages of grief, you know, with the denial and the anger. And as he's sitting here talking about like, oh, but if this and that wasn't going on, then this wouldn't be happening to me, basically hitting that 3rd phase of bargaining. Or whatever, he's in the bargaining phase right now, but the whole sequence of events that led to this moment, and then we see like the one for all clusters, another trick up his sleeves. No, not yet. Indeed, Yoichi, the entire chain of events up to now will inevitably spell out victory or defeat for all. Not yet. Victory is still within my grasp. And we go back to Spinner. Spinner, the man who is straight up said he is only here for Shigaraki. Spinner, the one who's here to save him at whatever cost. And we see that there's something happening to his body, which is probably what I've mentioned, this third stage. Now we have a couple options here. That speed form that we've talked about, where he just tries to get around the fact that One for All and Deku was just so much faster than him that he tries to transform into a speed type and deal with it that way. But then we also have the possibility of him, and I've suggested this too, potentially taking on a more chrysalis type form, something to preserve and stop him from taking too much damage. But also if he manages to create a barrier, a bunch of excessive flesh, and then separate himself from it, technically he would no longer be inside of Aizawa's gaze, and that could potentially lead to him being able to access his quirks again, something like that, to switch this fight into its phase 3. But pretty handily, round 2 is Deku's. That's where we're at now. This is also lets us know that almost with certainty, though, we can probably expect Kurogiri to be freed. But yes, that copium stage, that's one way to think of it. All right, let me put this link in the church so I can get my people in here. Need my bishops. I need East to get in here because I know East been ready. East is ready like Freddy. So we got that situated. Man, let me make sure Thomas can get up in here too, though. Okay. Either you're gonna have to turn down your headset or East mic gonna give out again. You know that mic can't handle all the energy he be bringing. Let's see. Let me get these folks that want to be in here real quick. Let's see. Copia basically end up they just saying that All For One is trying to cope with his circumstances, his situation, process his grief, come up with excuses, going against your mindset. And yeah, Tanisha did a good job just calling it denial. I could have just called
it. My God. Hello. Did somebody ring the bell? Oh, we out of here. Man, oh man, oh man. Where do I start? Where do I fucking start? I know.
Hold up, save the meat for like 2 minutes from now. You'll see.
Okay. He saved y'all because I often know.
You can still talk, just don't go too crazy.
I don't know where to start. I'll say that. I'll say that for later. And you know what? I'm just gonna save all that for a little bit later. Oh man. God, I got a lot of shit to say today. Got quite a lot to say today. Woo! How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing, chat? What's up? N. Spectral. I can't believe you done this. J. Michael Holmes, Tanisha, Oreo, Mega, Solo Me, Mr. Andrew. Well, Papa, how was y'all Monday morning, man? How was y'all Monday overall? Mine was absolutely great. I don't want to say absolutely great, but no complaints. What's up, Jalen? What's up, that one guy? Let's see who else in the chat. Some old fool, you know what I'm saying? Alves was popping, y'all. Was popping. Tiger Blaster was good. Was Gucci.
Yeah. I can see this entire fandom every day. I see him every day talk shit about Deku, talk shit about the fucking manga, talk shit about the action, Hori's art, etc. Like haters. Yet this chapter itself has proven everyone wrong. Hey, this man. Is S tier rating, S tier chapter, and Hori is officially 100% back.
Just so you know, Thomas is the resident Deku stan, so that stands to be.
Also, It is 12 a.m., so I may be a bit quiet, but hopefully that's fine.
That's perfectly fine, man. But
Oh
hey, man,
man,
what's
I
up,
wasn't sure if
Batista?
you were gonna make it. So hey,
Nah, I'm 100%. My entire week was just New York, watching Mob Psycho, My Hero, and then Bleach.
Yeah,
And
man. Listen,
I just had to pull over
we
for
gonna touch
this.
on that later. That's part of what I gotta say because man, I got a mouthful to say about that shit too. But yeah, who asked me that I watched? Yeah, Jason, I watched Bleach. Man, Kugasaki on the FISA.
Hello, Nafisa.
So when you ready to jump into it, boss? Oh shit, we got a thing.
Oh, Andrew.
hold up. All right, Andrew came through. Now that Hori already gave us Deku going in with the punch with all messages behind him panel, as someone who for years thought that would be the final attack panel, I wonder what Hori has planned now.
So I want to tap on this. I guess this is where I start first, right? So this is what I've noticed. And in this Horikoshi is slick ass bitch. This is why I can't stand this nigga. He is slick ass nigga. So 306 had the cover page. Deku had all for one on his screen, and Shigaraki had All Might. As we know, the two old guards of the past, past generation, this, that, and the other. And we kept wondering, it was like, all right, now you setting up Deku, all for one really getting to Deku's head. Deku, all for one trying Deku, fucking with him. And then he was like, okay, now everybody's separated, but Deku kind of needs to fight all for one sort of sense because you kind of set that up. So if we'd have leave that hanging, it would have always been like, all right, but still, I wanted to see him fight all for one, blah, blah, blah. Somehow this nigga managed to do the reach round and cause this very, very annoying ass predicament with Magumaru. Managed to somehow spin it. And so that now it's fucking, this isn't Shigaraki. Since y'all want to play that game before, this isn't Shigaraki getting his ass beat, by the way. This is all off one taking the cake right now and eating everything. So I want to play that game before. We're gonna play that game now. This is all for one. All for one. I ain't see no Shigaraki talking at all. This is all for one getting his ass whooped. So somehow this nigga Horikoshi managed to slide by and slip through and have Deku beating all for one ass. But more so than that, this is what I've been noticing lately with this whole thing. This is Deku facing all for one with the vestiges. This is Deku facing all for one. This is Deku facing Shigaraki. This isn't their rival, their beef, their thoughts. This is all just all the users. Deku's just using all the users and them selling their scores with all for one. This is what I've been noticing here because it doesn't feel like, oh, Deku and Shigaraki is selling a rivalry. Nah, this is why I said we had to go through this big ass drag just so when we get Shigaraki on top where he's supposed to be at, and I don't know how the fuck he gonna revamp Deku to even stand a chance because if Deku's doing what he's doing now, imagine why Shigaraki keep getting hold the way he do. Especially coming off another form. Yeah, that's a whole different type of breed right there. Like I said, I see the reason we did all the shit we did. It still was a slog, but it's just like, like,
look,
Yeah,
I'm gonna just say this.
You know why? You know why we've been at UA so long? Because normally, like, if this was like Corey's usual pattern, he would have cut away from there by now. And hi, it's me,
Yo.
folk.
Mhm.
Hello.
You know the reason we're still here? It's literally so we can just deal with all for one and then get that out of the way, and then we do the rest. Like he's literally the first. He's like the climax boss of literally the first half of this arc. It's dealing with him, and then it's Shigaraki in the next generation.
Yeah.
You know something else I've noticed? All the old heroes really beaten up. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep going for this next phase. Maybe it's literally the next generation duking it out.
Because I mean, at this rate, bro, what can anybody really do to get back up and fight? If y'all wasn't facing this nigga before, now he's stronger and more serious than before. And now Deku over here, damn near bending the laws of fucking warping physics or whatever they said again. If he doing that and he coming in and niggas couldn't keep up beforehand, like y'all,
and it's
just
not,
get y'all
it's
ass
not
off the
just,
battlefield.
yeah, it's not just the framing. It's not just the fact that we're still here. It's that all for one himself is like just everything is going wrong for him. And we've noted this before. Like this is deliberate character flaw for him. He thinks too much like a comic book villain. He thinks this is a comic book. Like that's the entire reason like he does stuff. It's like, oh, well, I can't do it this way because that's not what a Demon King would do. And it's
Like
the same
he's
setup.
trying to LARP.
Yeah.
bro,
No,
bro,
right?
it's bro, nigga took right, bro. It's like, all right, bro, we got superpowers and shit, but we still live in reality to a certain extent, nigga. Like, chill out,
That's it.
like,
Yeah, he
like,
thinks he's Aizen. You know,
Which-
he keeps
We know
planning,
that guy's
but
no
like,
Aizen.
He's not that guy. He's not that
Hold
guy.
on, wait, Bulk, I want to do something real quick. Which let's juxtapose what you just said about how All for One is stuck in this comic book mindset, and then let's circle back to Class 1A versus One for All. And what did Sue say directly to Deku?
right, like,
Basically, I'm not going to let you live a comic book fantasy.
yep.
because this is reality, goddamn nigga. Like, I know you got powers, you special, but like, nigga, at the end of the day, it's still reality, bro. Like, you think you could have took on everybody by yourselves? Like Shiggy, Dobby at 4%,
Oh,
like them,
like,
Toga,
look,
Alicia. Like, all
I
right, bro, I
love-
know you like Nick, but you got it.
I love Deku, but if he went, but like, if he kept going, even if he had like a very brief rest to recharge or whatever, once he tracked down AFO, he would have died. Like, he just
Like,
would have been killed.
Bro, like I kept saying back then, nigga, like, bro, Deku, yeah, you the one nigga that can truly probably fight Shiraki toe to toe, but that's for a limited amount of time. And if you can only barely survive that nigga, what makes you think you can fight anybody else in the background? If Dobby just wanted at least 100% prominence and just be like, I'm gonna let it rain, Shiraki like, go ahead, nigga, I can just regen. I survived a fucking nuke. You think I'm afraid of
And
this?
you know what else
All
is
for
great?
one, too, like, bro.
You know what else is great about this chapter? Deku is not holding back, because like a lot of people were speculating, oh, saving Tenko means he's going to spare his life and he's going to turn into a good guy. No, that's not how it works. Deku's goal is to basically free Tenko's soul. He knows there's really no way out of this without killing the both of them.
Yeah.
But
Also,
been
I'll say
acknowledged
this: this is the most green Naruto moment you've ever gotten out of Midoriya here. I will beat you into freedom.
yeah,
Like, this is the most green Naruto you can get out of it, and it's not with blonde Sasuke. So,
bro, and I don't even say nigga that much, bro. Chill out, bro. I
I
probably
mean,
said this.
He was coming for your ass.
Yo, that's
I
how you gonna
did.
do me? Yo, that's
I didn't expect to come to this stream and hear lies.
wow, that's how y'all gonna do me. I
yeah,
can't remember
I'm
last
sorry,
time I
East,
said
but
the
this is
N-word.
also actually this is a bit of a, I forgot what intervention.
Yeah,
Wow.
intervention.
You know
Damn.
what? You know
I
what?
didn't know about
knew,
no
I
intervention.
knew about this because ever since I knew about this, only a few people finna catch what I'm about to say. I knew this how y'all felt. Y'all do this to me all the time. It's because I'm light skinned. I'm the light skinned.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
You just reminded me I gotta watch the episode from last week.
Bro, Atlanta's so fucking funny, bro. Oh my god, but nah, for real. I don't know last time I said nigga, but anyway, let's get on.
Did you guys
So this
see?
nigga off one.
Did you guys see Horikoshi's comment this week?
Oh, so
Oh,
let's
yeah.
get this started. Let's get this started. So
Yeah, we saw that.
Hey,
We saw that.
So I mean, I just want to know and clarify something. So, if I'm not mistaken, Horikoshi said the last jump festa. Yeah, I'm gonna end. MHA is gonna hit his goal. He said goal. Everybody else added end goal by in about 1 year, and everybody said he was gonna bum rush through. It was gonna end by the end of 2022. And now this nigga Horikoshi come back and say, "Man, 10 months ago I said this, but I don't think it's gonna end of the year." So I just want y'all to go ahead and spread that shit like wildfire, like y'all did, and I had to deal with that fucking headache of he gonna bum rush through everything. He gonna cut off these other battlefields. We ain't finna see shit. He finna rush through. I want y'all to spread that shit like wildfire, like y'all did this ending this year. Go ahead, but y'all won't because
I'm gonna just
Crazy.
say, I'm gonna be mean and say this. There's only one manga couldn't jump the off screens that often, and it ain't Hori.
oh god,
You ain't gonna say who?
nah. You need you
You're
know
not gonna-
you
And
know.
real readers
Wait,
know
you right,
exactly
you gotta
who I'm
stop being-
talking about. I don't
I
even
know you-
gotta say
Talk
nothing.
about, I know you're talking about, but I thought,
That off screen,
But I will say though
no
about
need.
the whole manga ending. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me not lie. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like,
But regardless, I feel as though people that got really upset, or not upset, but really let this news dictate how they thought the series is gonna go. I feel as though this is their first long running series. This has to be your first long running series for you to fall victim to the taunt of, yeah, I think it's gonna end in a year. Nobody ever believes that shit, bro. Nobody ever believes it because
Bro, it
unless
don't-
you get like a news that's like there's 5 chapters left, like that's when I'll believe it. But like, how many times do they say we're entering into the final
No.
arc, and that's just 5 years, 6 years, bro? Like,
even
I
if
just feel
it-
as though these people
Hold on.
let that get to them. This is their first rodeo, so I feel as though let them learn, and
In a
Nah,
lot
once
of
they get
ways,
other series, they're gonna
in a lot of
handle it
ways,
better.
in a lot of ways, this is Hori's first rodeo too, because like all of his
That's
manga
true.
before were very short. This is the first time like he's gotten to actually wrap up a big epic series.
That's a good
And,
point.
I think he went into this not really anticipating what it was going to take, because I just got to volume 32, and in one of the extras he says, originally I thought Final Act was going to be like 5 volumes. And now I'm not sure anymore, because like he didn't, like, it's one thing to start wrapping things up, it's another to be in the middle of that process and look over everything you still need to do and realize, it's not as quick as I thought it was going to be.
bro, but come on now, like I don't care if it was your first rodeo or not. And if you're not anime only, if you're reading a manga, if you read multiple manga at this point, you ain't gonna tell me you ain't look at Bleach, you ain't look at Naruto and a couple of the other series and say, damn, I know a nigga said final arc, but we about 130 chapters in this bitch. Huh. Multiple
But that
times,
ended
not
like
just one
how
go.
many years ago, bro?
But it don't
Unless
matter.
you were reading back then, I don't think. I feel as though a lot of
but
people that react on Twitter are like getting into the anime game now
Yeah,
or like the manga game now. I
there's
feel as though if
two
you're reading
types
manga back then,
specifically.
it's two different people. And I think the people that are really on Twitter doing the most, I really feel as though it's people that are young that just see something and then retweet it and go
there's
on and
two
just keep going about
types.
it.
There's a bunch of like young Zoomers, teenagers who, and it's not like a fault or a slight, but like
Not at all.
they you know, you 17, 18, 16, 15 for some of y'all. So like you got My Hero and you're like, you hear it's ending and you're close to the end of high school maybe or something like that. And you're like, oh my God, this is an important time in my life. And that isn't to say that it's not going to be an important time in your life, but I'm going to tell you right now that I've had my guidance counselor fuming when I told her that a high school diploma wouldn't do a whole lot in the world. So I understood that my life was just getting started when I was stepping out of high school. And you're going to feel the same way by the time you're 20.
Mm-hmm.
2, there's a lot of people, and I've seen them like a lot of times they'll be like just a little younger than me, and they should know better, but they don't care because they'll like take the complaints that these really young folks have, and instead of being like an older person in the fandom that has like experience and being like, look, this is how it actually goes, don't even trip about this, woo woo woo, they're like, yeah, let me hop on the sensational wave. Let me just co-sign these kids freaking out, even though it doesn't actually make sense for what's written in the story or anything like that. And maybe it's because they're good at, and I don't want to say they're not as literate as we perceive them to be or something like that, but because like it's like
I say
either because like my stance, because it kind of comes down to either they don't have a lot of actual experience with manga and the week-to-week format, and they haven't read a lot of stuff weekly, or it comes down to I'm a grifter and I just want to grow my channel or whatever and try to get as much clout as possible. And negativity and bashing stuff is usually a good way to do that. And if I take the author's words and misconstrue them, even ignoring common circumstances within this industry and patterns that have been established in the, you know, precedent of what's going on, and jump as a magazine, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it like that.
So basically, what you're saying is basically we shouldn't blame the young youth, how do I process it? The ignorant youth. We shouldn't blame them too much, but more so we should definitely blame the predatorial older generation that already knows and is aware of how this shit goes. Cause boy, I'll be seeing some bullshit from these niggas on goddamn like YouTube, as niggas just pop up and they'll send it, or I see that and they'll be like, yo, he said it's less than 2 weeks left on the shit. Like, who the fuck said that? And then you get in the video and nigga be like, and it's the craziest part, because I be like, yo, I know y'all niggas young, but these predators go crazy. No wonder they be taking.
Why do you keep saying
What?
predators?
What?
Why do you
They
keep saying-
predators. They like
You
they
mean
all stay on
predecessor?
that. No, predators.
No,
I said what
You
I
meant
said.
predator.
He-
Is that what you
Predators.
meant? Okay.
They are
He's
preying
saying
on-
predator.
Predator is a very specific concept.
Yeah, I get what he means, but I thought he was
You know
trying to
what?
say something
Listen,
else.
this is
Never
why I'm
mind.
saying predator. I know exactly what I'm saying. They are preying on the youthful, ignorant
My
minds.
baddies, my bad.
That they are preying on the youthful, ignorant minds that know no better. You see the niggas that get kids in the van with candy because the kids don't know better. This is no different than a fucking clickbait thumbnail from these clout chasers. They getting the youthful, ignorant niggas that know no better and that believe anything that don't have
Exactly.
no quoted source and be like, "Ooh, they said
Terry.
this," and niggas run to the clickbait time and time again because they are young and don't know what the fuck they talk about. So essentially, what they are is clout chasing predators. Goddamn.
I would call it manipulative because predatory
Yeah,
makes
I
people
was
think
like,
of
that's
other
a strong
stuff.
word.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: by definition, like dictionary definition, East is not wrong.
No,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah, I was just saying it's a
Oh.
strong word, but
It's
go
just-
off.
I
Go
would
off,
have
Chris.
used predatory instead of
Like it's that denotative versus connotative that is the thing
Exactly.
that's spicy there.
Hey man, niggas putting out videos like Deku unlocks his 9th quirk and off one he's eaten alive through his soul. And we are and that's it. And that's
I mean, that's the nature of the internet, though. That's
90,
clickbait.
90K, 50K views. And how many we got on the stream actually talk about some sense? And these niggas over here talking about some, yo, Deku unlocked his 9th quirk and has eaten off one.
Deku
and has
6
become-
quirks
and has
versus
become
I
shit like
off
okay.
one.
What the fuck?
Okay, look, I think we need to take a step back from this and more than like looking at like the process of like how the cycle of misinformation. You got to look at how casual anime has become and very specifically shonen anime. So like let's take the Hagakure color page from last week. I've said, like, look, I don't particularly care. It's just a drawing at the end of the day. I get why it throws some people off, but the fact that Rose this Stir did when a lot of other series do the same, and in fact, like Kentaro Yabuki has made an entire career out of making these types of stories where it's just drawings of high school girls being naked all the time. And it's like, if that's your thing, guess what? I can't do anything about that. We can't do anything about that. So I think it's more a case of just like I think a lot of people just don't care and spread the cycle of misinformation. And you have the people who do care, who are like kind of a little too into it and not really seeing the forest for the trees either, you know? So I think that's all it is.
And that's the thing is that sorry, I just saw a Yuri edit with her wearing shoes. Oh, but I do think it's a little unfortunate that it feels like the community is marred with misinformation.
This is even worse than One Piece because I think we forget because we interact with each other who are adults and then teenage high school age kids, like pretty intelligent, have good conversations with them. A lot of MHA fans are little kids. There are tons of little kids who watch this series. Honestly. And so, like, look, I'm not saying you should, but just take a little stroll through some MHA videos. Most of them are for kids or like really cringe stuff. Because those are the people who 10 years from now are going to be in the same position a lot of us are, where they're engaging with like the serious aspects of it instead of like the cringe aspects, right?
Mm-hmm. So
which, let's say, like for example, Bleach 1000-Year Blood War arc. I'm excited. I'm happy it's back.
Mm-hmm.
It ran for like 200 chapters. I remember being like, "Oh, it's the final arc. What are we gonna do?" And then it was like, "Oh, never mind. We in for a ride." And that ended up being kind of funny towards the end, but that had more to do with tensions at the magazine. Kubo's the one dude in an interview that was like, "Do you have a soft spot for Jump?" And he was like, "No."
Yeah.
He was like, F them. Yo, he was saying, "I'm done with these months, bro. He was finished."
I'm gonna run
It
it
was
back
so
on
fun.
Kubo. I'm gonna run it back on Kubo, but if shit 200 chapters, if he had it his way, it'd be like 230, 240. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna run it back
Yeah.
on. I'm gonna run it back on him. Kubo,
Like-
Oh,
finna
we
his
definitely
praise
running it
today.
back.
We
Ace.
gonna run
You're
it back on
gonna
that nigga.
like in the anime, you're gonna see a lot more of like his ideas fulfilled because he has
Mhm.
confirmed they're going to elaborate on the
Mhm.
ending,
Exactly.
which is
And they need him now.
specifically
He in his
which
bag.
specifically they need to do because they have like oh god, what are they called? Full bringers. They came back for like 2 chapters and he
Yeah.
had no time to factor them in. Like absolutely zero time. They just showed up here, they gave him some shit,
Yeah, I remember that.
and then you basically got like an abridged version of Yuak versus Ichiko, Renji, and Aizen. And that was
So
it.
it's gonna be basically it's gonna be akin to Brotherhood, but in the finale, in the final arc.
Which I'm
Yeah.
gonna say they actually did cut some stuff already, but the stuff
Yeah.
they cut was so inconsequential.
Exactly.
I
Because they
only
cut out like I want to say like 8-9 pages worth of content, but it was just that girl and that boy argued about
Exactly.
stuff before they got to like Karakura and some other stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
with the
It
stuff
actually-
that they're probably trimming,
know,
It
it's
actually
looking
works
like they're
better in
trimming
the show.
Yeah,
Yeah, if it better. And I like the direction they went in, which is having the characters themselves kind of be like the audience, them
Mhm.
seeing Ichigo and them for the first time, kind of like us.
That
Every-
It's been a
every-
minute.
come back
I
to
like
them.
that direction.
everything
never
I
came
thought
back to
that
that.
everything is validated and co-signed because Kubo was there the whole time. That's why I think
Exactly.
Mhm.
because I think I was talking to Tyler or Sixer, one of them. But I believe that like when someone was like, "Oh, I think he forgot about he got a hell arc to do." When I think back, I'm like, okay, you know what? I think that's going to start now because when I think about it, he was heavy in the anime. So now that the anime is basically wrapped up, I think like, okay, now I see this nigga probably gonna go back because he put all his time and effort. Like, okay, they fucked my last arc, but now I'm about to get there. I'm about to run the block. I'm gonna spin a block back on these niggas. So now I think I say about it. If Bleach has a stage at Jump Fest, I feel like they'll be talking about okay, now the hell arc is finally underway because I finished with the damn anime.
Oh yeah. I hope that he incorporates the like light novel shit. I haven't read that, but like I know bits, and I'm like,
I
that'd be
still
interesting.
need to read it. I still need to read it for whenever.
I haven't
I
read
haven't
it.
read it,
I
same.
held out hope. I held out hope that like one day they might be animated because I wasn't trying to read it to be honest. But like I was, I actually that's a lie. I read one about like Ginjo and shit
anyway-
because I was interested. But
Yeah,
other than
yeah.
that,
Let's
I
get
don't
back on. We gotta
Let's get back
on
on track. Let's get back on
All
track.
right, so real quick,
Kubo gonna get his day in the sun.
I got a question for
Mhm.
y'all.
Mhm.
Why do you think AFO was sitting here crying?
Oh, because
Yurichi
because
probably
he's
died.
Hey, one at a time, one at a time. So Vote,
Okay.
Thomas,
Mhm.
Nafisa East. Boom. There we go.
Say that
Okay,
nigga for last, we'll
so-
see.
like he genuinely loves his brother, but he only loves him to the degree that he sees him as another thing to possess. And has been his entire goal, this entire story, is to be one with his brother again, truly one for all for one. And he's so infuriated that he passed on his power. And because to all for one, he thinks that you just take all power for yourself. To give it away, that's so alien to him. He can't understand that. And so like when he sees Yuichi having created this line of heroes who he basically considers outsiders and interlopers, he gets pretty pissed. Because that's why he's crying, because he's frustrated, because he's sad. He thought him and his brother were going to be like this kind of, demon lord hero duo, but it ended up kind of outside his control. And so now that it's ended up with Deku, who by all accounts should be some random nobody, is like just beating the shit out of him. And he's just stunned there. And he's like, what the hell is going on? This isn't how it's supposed to go. Like, and he just starts whining like a little baby because he thought, like he said, he's been fantasizing about fighting Deku. Like he was sitting in his cell. He's like, oh, this is going to be so awesome. I'm going to be like the Demon King of my comic. 100 years of planning, like 15 years of grooming Shigaraki, gone in 5 minutes. Gone. And so it's like, he's like, he like everything. Like, and this is why I think this is leading to him about to die or be subjugated or be defeated or whatever. It's time to exit stage left because like this is the perfect way for him to go out. Like it's just denied absolutely everything he wants, right? And then it ends up being Shigaraki who ends up the final boss and the greatest villain instead. And that speaks to the character, because he, like, okay, I've gone on long enough. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, Nafisa.
Oh, my bad. Let me not lie to you. Let me not lie. I didn't even notice that. I'm not crying. Shit, he had tears in his eyes. Okay, so I have two, I guess, theories or whatever to answer the question. The first one being maybe because you know the second user is the
Oh wait, you just roboted out.
maybe he's guessing that was
Nafisa, you a whole robot.
with his brother did an ult tap. My second the apology. Wait, let me move the shit. Wait, am I still a robot?
You roboted a little while you were saying
Damn.
still.
Fortunate.
Do you want to just type it out and I'll have like Thomas go and then I'll just like
Damn,
go ahead.
that's unfortunate. Okay, I'll type it out.
Yeah, just send it to me on
I'll
the
type
Discord
it
and I'll
out.
read it out just to make sure you good. Not them putting a buffer icon in the
They know
chat.
what
didn't know
I
you
just
could
saw
do
that. That's awful. I didn't know either.
Yo, wait.
All right, Thomas, give me your thoughts while Nafisa types hers up.
So it was the question, why was all four crying?
Yeah.
I agree with Volk, but I also think that Yorichi probably died in that situation, because up to that point, I didn't see All For One as, someone who is capable of crying, especially back then. Either Yorichi passed away, or he probably went straight into, enemy lines for All For One and he can't get to him anymore. I also love the little touch where you see him crying even more because the embers are going out. And of course, the second user doesn't really give a shit. I guess that would be my theory on it. There's not much I can really comment on. Volk is absolutely correct as well.
Oh, okay. So Thomas, you said what Nafisa was going to say, and that she was thinking that Yoichi is dead at this point, and that's what he's sad about. All right, East, what you thinking?
Ooh.
Yeah, so why that man, that feller was crying, shedding tears from his eyes. Basically, we all have the same mind. I'm pretty sure it's simple that there's only one thing that could truly make him cry in that moment, which is in that pretty sure Yoichi died around that time, like right prior to, so to speak. Because we're only getting this flashback in bits and pieces. But if you were to tie everything together in one long flashback, it would kind of like make sense, so to speak. So I think that Yoichi died at this point, because I think he would feel more like, because he's feeling like frustration and rage too while he's killing Chekhov. But like I feel like if it was just like, and I feel he's feeling pain too. That's why he's crying. So I feel like Yoichi just died at that moment too. But he already passed it on, because I'm pretty sure they passed it on earlier. I don't know, because we don't have all the details. We know how it has to be passed and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure it's obvious that obviously the way they pass it on is most likely through a blood transfer, so to speak. And then a blood transfer, so to speak, horticulture might try to work that around a blood transfer, because that would make the most sense. And then the second on to the third, how they figured out they had the quirk. I'm pretty sure you just realized, man, I feel like Peter Parker. I feel like strong as shit one day. Damn, nigga. Look at the ass, boy. Fuck. Go on the street, feeling yourself, start feeling a little stronger and pumped up, start beating people's asses, you know what I'm saying? So I just feel like that. I feel like that moment, that's what happened too, because he was crying. Can't see a nigga being like, I was gonna get my brother back, but you already transferred the quirk, you bitch ass nigga. Nah. Like, nah. I don't think he realized until kind of like later on they were passing the quirk through and through and through. Because remember, they didn't realize he had it. I don't know when he realized the niggas had the quirk or passing on, but I feel like Yoichi died in that moment. So I'm pretty sure everybody's at the same vein of thought, more or less. Because what other reason does this nigga got to cry? I really can't see this nigga. As goofy as that nigga is, I can't see him be like, you stupid ass Checo. I always had my brother, but you transferred the quirk over. Like, I really can't see that, to be honest with you.
So I'm gonna be real and say that I actually do think that that's part of it. I think because All for One is not as strong as he pretends to be.
Bro, he was talking shit about Chekhov. That nigga was capping through his teeth. I mean, that guy was capping through his teeth.
It's funny because you said like 10 niggas in your explanation.
Exactly. You don't need to filter yourself.
Yeah.
Nafisa, you're back.
Yes. I just turn it on and off the internet, you know.
That's
I was
we
like,
need.
hopefully that shit work.
We need to focus on Nafisa being back, not me. So, Nafisa, welcome back. Kokosaki. Round of applause.
Thank you.
Goodness.
Thank God, get that heat off me.
But so because the way I look at it is that one, no matter how we spin it, no matter what he says, we saw him have that flashback when Bakugo blitzed him to the second user. So yes, he managed to defeat him, but I feel like he's pretending like it was like he's. And I think the issue that All for One has is that he started to do something, one of the most dangerous things a person can do. And it's to believe his own lies.
Yeah.
And so he's distorted history in his head. And that's why he's like, why am I having these flashbacks? Because you got pressured back in the day, homie. Because you were struggling. Quirks weren't always as good as they are now. So back then, even just a pea shooter might have had pressure on you.
Nah, that nigga was bullshitting through his teeth talking about some, you ain't got nothing but a pea shooter. Man, shut your lying ass up, nigga.
Because, and I'm gonna be real with you, objectively, if you know anything about bullets, that smile on the second user's face, do you know what that's for? That's because he's basically saying, yeah, you had to stop that. If you didn't stop that, you were dead.
Yeah, I'm like, keep talking all that shit, nigga.
Both of us would have been dead right there if you didn't stop that. But I was ready to die. Were you?
See,
Because a bullet of that size hits you in the head, congratulations. You ain't got no head. Or a neck.
Well, I want to talk about one thing. So I actually want to wait. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, you're
before
good right
I
now.
Go off. Okay. I want to say one thing. When I saw that first, even though I didn't notice, the whole
Wow.
I did notice
Oh, no.
hold on, strong
back
Nafisa.
user, right?
Oh,
And
no.
I just I have one thing because I found it funny that people when Shigaraki, let's call him Melvin, when he was fighting Bakugo and everybody was, and then he got the flashback of the second user, and then everybody just started spinning that copium. Oh, the future theory, whatever that dumbass theory was.
Bakugo.
And I kept saying that no. Yeah. And I kept like it's so funny because my first thought was, oh, he's seeing the second user in Bakugo for a completely different reason. And now we're seeing it right here. It's because both of them, at least I'm assuming at this time, I don't know if he has All for One yet. I don't really know. Or One for All, which I'm getting confused, I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know if he has it yet right now. But Bakugo and the second user are kind of the same in the sense that All for One is looking at them as people that aren't a part of this grand scheme. They're just insects trying to get in the way. But at the end of the day, they're still trying to fight. And, the second user kind of got more respect because he picked him up and Bakugo got picked up by the nigga's toenails. Kind of disrespectful. But regardless, I think we're being proven right here why saw All for One had a glimpse of the second Bakugo. The same, it's invoking the same emotion of people feels as though have nothing to do with nothing and to continue to fight. So it's just so funny that Horikoshi had to like throw that in there because these people, they saw that shit and they were like, oh, it's the time theory, whatever that dumbass theory was. Like, I just thought it was so stupid. So I'm glad that this year is showcasing why that thought process happened with All for One. Like, I just want people to stop with that shit. Like, that theory's dumb. You're stupid for thinking of it. And yeah. That's it.
Most MHA theories are dumb. It's just
I try to be nice to it just every now and then.
No, but see, my thing
you better man. Let me tell you that you better man than me because but then again, you got a platform. So
Nafisa, what you were talking about,
crazy.
Nafisa, what you were talking about them being like just random people who stood up and fought anyway. This is why the people wondering why Deku didn't get like even more busted quirks and powers. It's like, well,
Exactly.
That's why though. That's why though, because
Because
like
they're random.
they're random. Like if he got like some broken stuff, like I don't know, time manipulation or regeneration.
Healing, like some people want it.
Yeah, stuff like that. Exactly.
Regeneration would be terrible. I'm telling you right now, it'd be terrible because there's zero threat to Deku.
Bro, regeneration was not it on healing, was not it on any way, shape, or form. All right, nigga. He already
Absolutely.
can with 5G, he already goddamn doing shit nobody else can goddamn do. Don't need a nigga healing too, bro.
It's also like the thing is, you can only get so much out of like, oh, look at how crazy awesome this power is. Oh, look at how crazy awesome that power is. You can only get so many chapters of that before the wow factor wears off. You're gonna get diminishing returns eventually. So which sounds better? A bunch of confused powers just like fighting for screen time that like, and Horikoshi has to like really think of ways to make them gel together, or really simple abilities that stack and stack and stack and complement Deku's main power of super strength already.
I like
Also-
chaos, so I prefer the former.
Wow.
Welcome, Squid.
I'm not
Yes,
surprised.
21. That's me. I'm here. Let's
Welcome.
go. Hey.
Long enough, nigga.
All right, but one of the
Huge-
things that I also wanted to highlight though is that by doing this, you once again get to drive home a comparison point between like Deku and Shigaraki, because also let's talk about how a lot of people try to go, Deku took the easy way because all he ate was a piece of hair and then he got one for all and most busted power.
He did no training. He didn't deserve this at all.
And it's like spent 10 months working out, got the quirk, couldn't even use it beyond 5% for a nice solid couple months.
Well, y'all gotta get off Deku dick though. That's crazy.
So
I
it's
want to see anybody put in the work that nigga put in every
They're all
day.
going to criticize Deku's training, yet they can't train for more than one day.
Luffy ate a fruit by
So
accident.
wait a
and all of
minute.
sudden
You know what's
and he
crazy?
became God.
You
Okay?
know what's crazy?
I don't
You know
want to
what's
hear
crazy?
anybody complain about Deku.
You know what's
Just
crazy?
shut up.
Like they talk about Deku not having to work for his powers. Meanwhile, they rarely work for anything in their real life. So what is that? Is
Exactly.
that projection? Think about that.
Oh God.
Also-
It's
man.
a protection.
This is deep. This is deeper than manga.
But like, think about this for a second. Deku impressed All Might, got him to look at him and go, this is a guy that can do something and has the heart. And to a certain degree, that's the same thing that made All for One really pick Tenko, unless we get the crappy he did give him Decay Theory, that's one of those series that I really don't like. And I'm very public about my dislike of that one specifically because I prefer the idea of Shigaraki having some form of agency. Furthermore, one of the things that I found fascinating is that the first thing that was said to him by his quirks in his head was not get one for all. It was destroy, as in destroy. So Decay was still doing its own thing, even if he's, stacking it with other abilities and stuff now. But what I think it does is that when All for One shot Genus Long out, he directly said, I'm not taking your quirk because it does not fit Tomura's disposition. Tomura and All for One are both the kind of people who just want to stack OP quirks that are simple, straightforward. You don't have to think about it a lot. You can just do stuff. So you're legitimately still going to have a nuanced, like hard work type of ethic in Deku, having to utilize quirks that are considered substandard. Because Smokescreen can only be used as like a mid-combat distraction and giant burst so far.
For a split second, because we seen what Bakugo uses cluster shit, wasn't even trying.
Yeah, he
All right,
used
let me
landmine blast.
Yeah,
I
let me blow
read
the-
that part recently.
Yeah, he was like, let me just get this shit out the way. And that was it. So it's like in tangent, when amidst the combat, like he did here, he
Mhm.
coming at a nigga, he was like, I got your ass. I know what you want. We met like, he's like, all right, down shift. He's like, what the fuck? Like, hold on. Smoke screen, bow. Wait, the fuck, that nigga not there. Up, jump. Like the way he uses it, it's in tangent and everything else. Then that comes like, oh, this is a good surprise attack. Like, but it's only good for like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, plus the best version of it is full blast, and that just completely gets rid of all the smoke that he stored up.
That's a good tactic in this bitch because
Yeah.
although Deku may be trying to damn near warping reality at this point, we still ain't in no like Bleach verse shit like when niggas just teleport all of a sudden like oh the nigga we're right here,
Also,
no longer right here. Type shit.
You know what I just realized though?
Mhm.
You kind of got your wish. Because if you guys remember what East was saying, he was like, only thing that's gonna get this through is like some kind of Goku Dragon Fist type.
Hey,
Yeah,
yo.
true, actually.
Hey, listen, you see what I was talking about?
Oh, that's wild.
I was like, listen, bro. There's only one way this nigga really going down at this point. You got to blast a hole through this nigga. And damn, look at that. He really did blast a hole through this nigga. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Because he blew off all the extra arm limbs and stuff. You can see that he blew his back out too.
He blew his back out. No pause.
No pause at all.
No
I
pause.
said what
Just
I
like
said.
the poor,
Continuous.
just like the
That
poor
nigga
Twitch
back out
streamer
raw.
yesterday.
Blew that nigga back out raw.
Dang, bro. You really saying he got Chick? That's crazy. That's
And
crazy.
What's crazy is that this is still technically merciful.
Yeah.
Because that's where we kind of get into this kind of funny thing is that Deku is holding back in the sense that he's just not smashing his brain right away.
He's trying
That's
not to
it.
kill him.
It's dead ass. And speaking of that, killing all that, I'm about to crescendo into something else and a deeper topic on this. Trippy manga, cheeky foreshadow at the end of chapter 310. The second Chekhov says things are bound to move more quickly from here on out. In that regard, it's funny that you say that, and we talking about the messages and that blowing and peeling this nigga muffin cap back again. Cause I know he's gonna start having flashbacks and
Muffin
shit.
cap back blue.
So in that, y'all seen what this it's clear as day everything that was set up and why we took forever, right? Y'all see what they were talking about this chapter, right? How all for one can see them and they can see all for one and see how he's struggling inside that bitch. So like I said, everything was for a reason. This big ass slog fest at this fucking UA, all the shit we had to go through. Now everything out the way. So when we cut back, we really finally gonna put down all for one, and then we're gonna be on our way to really getting Shigaraki and because Shigaraki gonna come after all the Tenko shit because they're really gonna backfire on that nigga deck. Like I'm like, all right, you kind of don't realize who you messing with too, because to an extent, like you seen a nigga crying. That's all you seen. Right after he proceeded to murder his entire family. Mom and sister are the exception. He probably with everybody's grandparents. But boy, I don't care what nobody try to talk about. He lying to himself, whatever. He felt what the fuck he felt when he killed his daddy. He already said, yo, mom, we love his mom, told his sister this, whatever. But I don't care what nobody try to say, oh, trauma this, all that, or he just lying to himself. Nah, nigga. He meant to kill his fucking daddy. I ain't not hearing it. He absolutely meant to kill that nigga specifically.
Okay.
That was like, after that nigga hit him in the face, he was like, nah,
listen though. Have you
Let
ever
me back, hold up, Squid. I want to back East up real quick because I want you to walk back through that sequence and what was said at the end of the war where they were like, that electrical shock that not even X-List could feel. That was not what resurrected Shigaraki. What resurrected him was his sheer hatred. And if you remember, it was like he was making peace.
Meaner level hatred.
Like he was making peace with it, His sister popped up and apologized, and he's like, oh, it's all good. His mom pops up and he turns back into a little kid, and he's like, it's okay, mom, I'm not all sickly anymore. Then his dad pulls up, Tenko. And he was like,
immediately that nigga wanted to smoke. He said, what's
straight
good?
Demon.
He said, what's good, nigga?
Like,
he said, you want to run it back?
I love that panel so much because like you see him eventually regress into the innocent little Tenko, black hair, very soft smile, innocent kid. And then in the next panel, the white hair flares up and he just smirks and he's like, oh, this little guy's a devil.
Like it's like
listen, when we saw that Kotaro panel, I knew in that moment he was wearing some black FUBUs. I knew it. When he saw
not
that.
the FUBUs.
It's a lot of hatred against his father figures that really motivates him. And you'll see.
Anyway,
you'll see right here as well.
Oh,
he is fighting all for one off, as like he keeps he got his ass ass handed to him by the heroes, and Deku's in here just like doing that 10 times over now. All for One is like losing whatever control he has. Like you see in the panels, he's just struggling to keep him in there to keep utilizing his hatred. And you see that like Deku gets a little peek, and I love like the top-down view, like he's just peering down. You see All for One, and he's just tumbling around. He's like he has no control anymore. It's like all these whips of shadow coming off him. This is the end, man. Like I think this is it for AFO.
So like
okay, hold on real quick. I want to hit on something that Kerpuki said in the chat, because this is true. This fight has been a peak in this war, but it absolutely is not the highest peak of this arc. We are going to get that Shigaraki waking up moment, and that is where destruction will commence. Now, I want to talk about something we've talked about, but I don't want us to move too far away from this point, because when we were talking about the resurrection of Shigaraki, we're talking about how his hatred is what brought him back. If hatred can bring Shigaraki from the dead, and we see that base Tenko still trying to bust out, and we see that little Tenko was grown into that Shigaraki, we're going to see a recreation of that sequence. But the difference here is what happened to Shigaraki that led to All for One getting control?
He blew his family back out. No
right.
pause.
I tweeted this. It was Spinner putting Nana's hand on his face and literally keep putting him in physical contact with all the pain from his past.
In addition to that, it was a beat down from One for All. And now we have it reversed. We're getting that same Sky beat down to a way higher degree, though.
Oh, see, I'm glad you said this, because that's what I was about to say. That's what I'm about to say.
5 times the Detroit Smash.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said this.
I was so gassed reading that.
Bro, you ever get jumped 5 times in Detroit? That's crazy. How you
That's crazy.
even
I don't
living
know
in
how
that?
you. I don't know. You on some 50 Cent shit for real. But listen. But listen. I'm so glad you said this, Aniki, because that's what I was about to go off after Volk said. Because I was like, y'all realize Shigaraki just letting this nigga get his ass beat, right? Shigaraki not attempting anything because he's like y'all forgot Shigaraki really a plotter. Off One got his mind somewhere else. He not focused on what Shigaraki did. Shigaraki really lying and wait. He just like he already seen everything. He knows what happened with Spinner and all that shit. He just like, go ahead, nigga. You can get your ass beat.
What did he do? What did he do like during Overhaul to outsmart Overhaul?
He let Overhaul play the game. He's like, you go ahead in the forefront, do all the little moves and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, he trusted his allies to do
that boy chest like a ping pong table, just like bong, 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 bong.
He trusted his allies to do right by him, and then he came in at the end and took the spoils.
This is something that we've actually seen kind of being recreated in this arc throughout. So the thing about Act 3 that has blown my mind is that it is like every chapter is an homage to the previous 2 acts in some form, shape, or way. But when you look at like this sequence of fights, the way people have been divided, the way Deku basically gave that shout out to All Might and the way he was attacking last chapter, how you kind of have basically at every turn a payoff for some secret, some bond, some kind of reference to a previous fight. Because if you look at the way that like when Shigaraki first jumps in his big defensive form, Deku blocks it the same way he attempted to block Muscular in their first fight. And then when you see the way he tosses him, it's like how he tossed him in the second fight. And so we're kind of seeing like all these like play-by-plays and playbacks to it, which means that it makes so much sense for Shigaraki to slowly take a backseat, have All for One to start doing all this stuff, take all this damage, and then when the quirks get active, kind of pop back up, decay away what's left of that vestige, because we've seen it start to impact him, and he was temporarily able to completely suppress that consciousness simply by decaying it. But now he's taking a beating to a far larger degree, and just like how, you know, Overhaul lost his quirk, or in this case, lost his arms, and Shigaraki took advantage of that, All for One is without quirks. Shigaraki is stepping up to take that from him again. This is the army built by AFO in the Nomu. He's going to be able to take control of that again, too.
I would like to add, there's one particular inspiration I would like to note. AFO Garaki, or whatever you want to call him right now, as he's getting his shit clapped in.
Now, this all off one.
Yeah, okay, we'll just call him All For One. Okay, we're gonna get Shiggy name out his mouth anyway, but he's taking inspiration from one of the great boxers of The Simpsons and Homer Simpson right now. He's just taking this beating and letting Deku tire himself out. That's the thing they don't want you to know.
But to me, this is just all written in the sand. It's like, okay, it's kind of obvious, which you're really setting up here. But even more so, you see, if you just pay attention, put all the pieces together, put the entire Vestiges plot line, everything that's been set up, and everything we know that Shigaraki, a lot of niggas just be like, oh, Shigaraki absorbed whatever, and let it call it a day. But I'm like, okay, you want to play that game? Horikoshi already said Shigaraki is the final antagonist. Whether you want to do whatever happens with the future don't matter. He said Shigaraki is the final antagonist. So y'all want to?
You want to know what else though? What happened like right at the start of this fight? Shigaraki or All For One like tries to reach down and he tries to launch a decay wave, but then his hand twitches and he can't do it. And then you got like a little flashback panel in like 361 where All For One realizes that little twitch was Tenko's influence on it. So why would Tenko stop that wave though? Why would he bother to stop that from happening?
So this is something that we got to cycle back into this again.
Because now my theory is he definitely wants All For One to lose. He wants him to screw up. He wants him out of the way so then he can launch his own strong attacks.
Oh, definitely. But then we also got to factor in something very important. The page 10 through 11, and I come back to this probably once a month at least. And maybe y'all are tired of me mentioning it, but we need to address this and how we translate it if the fan translation hadn't won. This is why people call them, swap out this word that you see on your screen, and remember, the original translation is individualities.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's talking about your intent, your goal, your purpose, who you are as a person. And he's basically saying to One For All here, or All For One here, you spent so much time focused on like the individualities that you missed out on the power of the actual individual wielding them.
See
the person beyond the talents.
And All For One himself, like they keep saying, he has absolutely nothing inside him. Like he has no greater goal. He has no like greater will. Just like his power, he's absolutely hollow on the inside.
Yeah, see, that's what I feel like. See, because what it's all surmounting to is like this moment with Shigaraki coming back, it's gonna be a stretch. Like Hideko getting his little stretch right here, Shigaraki gonna get a stretch of chapters that's just so fucking fire that it makes no sense. Like, because Horikoshi knows he has to give Shigaraki his just due because he been holding that nigga for far too long.
Oh, dude, the fact that he's doing this, it's minimum 50 more chapters. Like he has no other way around it.
It's like, bro, the stretch for Shiggy is going to be so insane when this nigga just does his thing. Like it's going to be uninterrupted gas Shigaraki season. Like it's fucking crazy to me, to be honest. Like it's just like, damn,
bro, he's gonna put up 50 points a game. It's gonna be crazy.
Oh god, bro, he gonna be like going stupid. But you know that, like, it's like the go off what Aniki said. Yeah, if you haven't done this, I know, but okay, I'll feel like this because y'all know how it operates. Y'all know how I ask questions for a meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are kids smart or are kids stupid?
A mix, but I'd say smart.
I mean, it depends on the child.
But it depends on the child, right? But kids can be very crafty and sneaky, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, wouldn't have you put it to me like this? Or you have, I don't know if you've done it yourself or you've seen it yourself. Did you ever see it? So everybody knows how older sibling will come in, barge in, hey, yo, what's this? Move, loser, and play on your game and shit, right? But don't know how to play the game, but you know how to play the game, and you let them get their ass beat so they can rage quit and be like, man, this shit suck. No, you just don't know how to fucking play. But you let that nigga tire himself out and get upset because they're not interested because they don't know what they're doing because people don't like feeling incompetent. Some people got that dog and they'll go the line of them. They got that dog. I gotta win. I got this. But most times when the siblings doesn't have that interest, they come in and play the game. They like, man, I can't do this shit. This shit make no sense. Throw it away. That's what Tenko Shigaraki is doing right now. He just letting that nigga overwork himself because like I said, Shigaraki knows what the fuck's running up to. He has faith in his allies. This wouldn't be the first time he put it in there. We're not seeing it, but that's just because it's supposed to like blindside you when they do come back eventually. But it's all written in the sand because like it's like, bro, how is this fooling anyone? I don't care whether you think this series has a part two or not. If you really fooled by like not thinking Shigaraki not gonna come back or they not gonna free this nigga somehow, some way, you really bugging. Like you
All
really
for one,
are
like
bugging,
All
bro.
for One doesn't know Spinner. He thinks he's just like gonna follow his word. Like he doesn't know he has an actual friendship with Shigaraki.
He thinks Spinner is just, and like this kind of is the cool thing is that Shigaraki takes all the good traits of the villain organizations we've seen, like the charisma, influence, and bond. Like we saw Redestro shed tears for the Meta Liberation soldiers that were lost, and we've seen Shigaraki mourn people who were lost, but in the process, make it a point to get something back. You don't take something from Shigaraki without him taking something back from you. Shigaraki came in there and took a lot from Redestro. And All for One was kind of like where he learned that behavior. Don't let anybody get anything from you without getting something from them. But All for One has been thinking this whole time that he is going to get everything he wants out of Shigaraki, but without Shigaraki extracting his pound of flesh. This is that pound of flesh.
He quite literally, he's not processing. All for
It's
One,
like-
maybe his father, but Kurogiri is his bigger influence too, to a certain degree.
And when you look at the way All for One has talked about his allies, everybody who works for All for One does so out of fear, or it's a very specific convenience of the circumstances. Like even when you look at like what happened with Nagant, convenient circumstances that she was like, well, we screwed out of the way, so I guess.
Basically.
But one of the first things she also said to him was, you used to be on my hit list. You don't mention how somebody used to be on your hit list unless you're still willing to put a bullet through their head.
She with the shit.
I'm just saying.
It would have been nice to have seen her get like
the stick
revenge
on
on
her, okay?
revenge on AFO, but I still think she is going to show up at least in the second half of this battle. So
My thing is that Spinner straight up said, you're not that guy.
oh yeah, chapter 298. He's like, you're not Shigaraki.
You're not the guy I signed up to follow. What's more is that, and this is the thing that's funny about AFO, he's like, any loyalty that you have for Shigaraki, you will focus on his body, you will focus on and still making me happy. And this, like Spinner wasn't close to All for One because he wanted to keep All for One safe. He was close to All for One to make sure All for One didn't do no more fuck shit with Shiggy.
Yeah.
That's what that was really about.
Hey, but Spinner a real one though, because think about it. He was able to smell the musty and dustiness off of that old head All for One.
Yeah, like, and
You don't want the spot.
you see Spinner before this, and like he's a lot more animated and he's a lot more at ease. Like he's just kind of general, like a normal guy, or he's talking to the league as friends. When he's with AFO, he's very guarded. He's very composed. He's like, okay, what are you gonna do next? Like he's feeling him out because he's trying to look for his opportunity to get his friend out of there so they can do their own batch of destruction without any of this nonsense with like, oh, stealing One for All, because like that's not what he signed up for. He doesn't care about One for All.
Nope.
He just wants to wreck shit with his friends again. He wants his Fortnite party back.
It's literally
Oh,
like
he
you
wants
just
to
wanna
go
do
on-
hood rat shit. That's
It's
it.
like
That's simple.
Friday. He wants his Friday night Fortnite parties back. He wants to be with his friend again.
So I'm gonna put it like this.
They got a GTA 5 server that they've gone Minecraft in. They trying to get back on them sticks.
All right, so look, we go role play and recreate a scenario of what's going on with Spinner right now, right?
Mhm.
Now imagine, Annika, you be off when you be Shigaraki's dad, right?
Mhm.
All right, what am I gonna do?
Nah, you go ahead and be Dobby. Don't say nothing.
All right.
So okay.
Oh, bro, I hate women, bro.
Hello, Miss. Hello.
That's the future.
Yo, shut your ass up, nigga. All right, hey, Mr. Rocky, how you doing? We finna,
Oh yeah, what up?
yeah, we gonna go out tonight, have a little fun, nothing too crazy. We back at like 10 p.m. Damn.
Who is this? What are you gonna play Heroes again?
No,
Women
none
are
of that.
property, bro.
All right, now you see, that's me, being respectful when we went in front of his parents. That's how he feeling them out. He don't know who he is. Now this is just me on Spinner. We got Shigaraki and Dobby over there. All right, no parents around. Yo, where the hoes at, nigga? Bro, I'm trying to get this shit lit in it, bit, bro. I had the bottle on the back.
You know what else is great about this AFO thing though is like I know it's irritated a lot of people.
Sorry.
I know it's irritated a lot of people, but think about shonen series and think about how they go. It's about escalation, right? It's one thing to promise, oh, this really cool thing is going to happen. Deku's going to beat the greatest villain, Shigaraki, when he gets there. You know what's even better? Deku beats 2 of the greatest villains there ever was. He beats the master, and then he's going to beat the successor. That's the real reason here. So you could see Deku get like both dubs at once.
You know what it also does? It adds a bit of irony to All For One's comments to All Might about Kamino. Ha ha ha, you missed your chance to die. Well, apparently so do you. Based on the way you get your ass beat right now.
Yes, sir. When it comes to the thing there, bro.
That's why
Like, here's the
I
thing.
bet All For One
He
smells like a
could've-
fucking retirement home, dog. He probably got that perfume.
Y'all already know I'm the number
Here's
one
the thing
president
with
of All For
Kamino,
One's
though.
Dead.
Like that was literally All For One's last chance as well. Like like you said, Anakin.
Exactly.
Because like he could have just stepped out of the game with grace. You know, maybe he frees himself, but you know he could have been the bigger person. Said, you know what, Shigaraki, you're gonna get my legacy. You're gonna get all my stuff. I might die, but I believe in you. You're gonna be a great villain.
Yeah.
Nope,
Cap.
he doesn't want that
That
because
was
he has
cap,
to be
bro.
selfish. He has to have his cake and eat it too.
And that's the thing is that All Might's arc post, and the thing is that, like I said, I'm still a believer in All Might making that mistake, not for the same reasons that, you know, All For One makes this decision and hops in the game, tries to control the game because he can't handle the fact that, because the problem is he's treating life like a video game instead of treating it like a sports game. Bro, you in your 4th OT, you a first string quarterback. You might just have to let the second string play. Sit down,
bro.
Like it's just not there anymore. Like, don't do that. You setting yourself up. And so All For One, and like All Might kind of embrace the fact, it's postseason. It's postseason. It's my last season. I got my ring. You know, I wasn't expecting to go out on top like this, but I got my championship.
You're saying All For One is Tom Brady.
Bro, he stole my shit. I'm gonna say
bro, have y'all seen
All For One is Tom Brady.
Tom Brady basically middle of the pack right now. It's crazy.
And that's even better because like Tom Brady is now middle of the pack. So it's like, damn, if you had just left like that last year, you would have left on that high.
But it's crazy because you think about it, it's crazy you think about it. It's because it's really, if you go even deeper into it, that nigga that like it's like All For One trying to like, you know, his career and shit over just giving it to Shigaraki, which would have been better for him. It's like how Tom Brady chose football over his family. That's crazy, bro.
Bro, he gave
let me look up his wife real quick
for the game, dog.
Let me look at his wife.
But like, think about that. All For One basically decided, I'm gonna keep playing the game regardless of the circumstances. I'm gonna stay in here. I'm gonna try to possess a nigga and do all this other stuff. Even though, and this is one of those things that has bothered me about his plan from jump, which is that if you place a quirk, even if it has a piece of your consciousness in another body, your real body is still eventually gonna die.
That's
so you will still not actually be immortal. And all it will take is somebody with a more dominant will than yours to inevitably inherit that quirk. And it's done.
But this is what I respect about Mayweather. The moment he turned 40, he was like, all right, I'm retiring, and now I only box bums. So he still gets the bag.
I ain't gonna hold you, bro.
All For One wants it all, man.
I ain't gonna hold you.
He can't read, but that is a good strategy.
I ain't gonna hold you. Tom Brady can't fumble the bag with a white, bro. You leaving life. You leaving your wife.
You really searched that?
I mean, he could have look. If you want to look at Tom Brady's wife's career, I think what's her name, Giselle something. I can't.
Yeah, it's like Giselle.
I don't care about supermodels like that. But to her credit, she made like $100 some million a year or something like that. She was making more money.
Making more money than Brady.
So like.
Oh, really? He double fumbling the bag.
That's why people say he's GOAT. Like, that's why there's been all these Goku memes about him. Because it's literally a case of your wife made more money than you. You had already gotten multiple rings. You got a family. You could have retired like 10 years ago, honestly, if you felt like it. I mean, you stayed in the game longer, whatever.
Maybe,
but like,
bro, he really is.
If you had the right index fund portfolio, so you could have a $100 million stock portfolio right now that's just paying you, hundreds of thousands of
You got
dividends a year that you
TB12.
live off of.
Maybe
You can just have time with your family.
honestly, we might do a
Maybe
deep
he
dive
lets
here.
all of that go just to play for Tampa.
But I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Maybe there's something deeper here. If we look into Tom's psyche, maybe he feel emasculated. Then he be like,
Are
maybe
you really doing this right now?
Maybe Tom is chasing this ring again because it's the only way he can feel like a man.
That's crazy.
What?
Let me stop.
Howard, we can connect this back to the story. Okay, we got it. We can do this.
But
Wait,
that
so
does
all for
sound
one?
like all for one.
so all
So
for
it
one?
connects perfectly.
See?
All for one,
Because
that's
that's
bad, 'cause he
Oh
can't
my
let go.
God.
because
He
all for
can't
one
let
is
go.
trying to
He-
get that championship ring. He's
Can we talk
Jordan on
about-
the Wizards, bro.
Yo,
He's
yo, so-
Jordan on the
so-
Washington Wizards.
So no matter how much W's he takes, he's like, I can't forget. I never got the court. I never got to get over on my brother ever. Oh man, he could have just let that shit
Like,
go.
It's like, let's say Kobe, RP, but let's say Kobe had
RIP
been
though.
older when he got that first three, or like got a three-peat, and he was like, and it was like, Kobe, you killed it, but at the same time, you got all these joint issues and all this other stuff. It's time for you to step out the game. And then he was like, but I never got a four-peat.
AFO became a Tate fan.
Like, let's say that, like, or let's just say that happened with what you call it. But then that happened with like Jordan in the 90s when he was like, no, I didn't get a four-peat. So he didn't take that break for baseball and still lost anyway. But like, stuff like that, like not taking your W and leaving when you on top.
I mean, honestly, this shit makes so much sense. How I gotta on a scale of 1.
Like, can
So,
we talk
so-
about how? Can we talk about how All for One saw his next opponent was a 15-year-old, 16-year-old boy, and he got all excited again?
Yeah, bro, he was like, oh yeah, I'm going against the rookie QB. It's sweet. This is an easy ride to the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
I
Gets
didn't realize
clapped.
his knees was already over with. All right, so let's get back on topic. How about you get discuss them lights at the end of
But
the
no,
track?
this was allegorical.
So
This was allegorical, man. Trust me.
yeah, it really did all serve.
Yeah, we
as
really
an
really
allegory
did.
for
We
it.
really did talk about allegorical. So you can't really
I
can't
don't
be
know
mad,
how
though.
we managed to work that out as a team without pre-discussing this allegory, but I'm glad that it worked out.
Man, it's like
Listen,
But-
man, we athletes. We
Just
go
the
for it.
synergy, man. It's just the synergy.
Nah, y'all
Talk
circled
ab-
that back really nice. Let me not lie.
When we talk about these lights, we talk about, because this is the ting 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 ting, the anime introduced to the series, that you get the catalyst, the power being passed from one to another. I think that's more to symbolize like the fight here and now is about the previous users. Because
Bro,
count the
yeah.
number of dots you see.
There's 9 of them.
So this fight, it's about the legacy of One for All, between One for All and All for One. This is those two quirks at battle. All for One getting his ass kicked, eventually going to tag out for Shiggy.
I
This is
just
like
love the
Jordan versus
symbolism.
LeBron of course.
I
Bro,
love the symbolism. One for all working as one. All for one, working alone.
alone.
It's
And-
just
and see, that's my thing. That's what I kept saying when I read this, and I read the last chapter, and I read this chapter. It keeps emphasizing, oh brother, let's put it into this. Why is Yoichi talking? All these niggas talking. Deku's just a conduit right now. Deku, this isn't Deku using All for One for himself, for his ideals, for his beliefs, and another. This is Deku like, oh, you menace, this, that, and other. It doesn't really have that agency tied to like, this is not what we came to see for our climax and the finale. Is Shigaraki and Deku. They've been had a rivalry. They the
and
next
like-
gen. It kept rising. But this is why I said Horikoshi's a slick ass nigga, because he made it so that Deku can fight All for One without really having like fight All for One physically, but it work everything around. Because this right now is just the conduit. Everybody getting a lick back on All for One going down. And then eventually Shigaraki comes back. But the way he slicked this around, and it's like still multiple layer, like this is those niggas getting their licks back and All for One getting his just desserts. So that when Shiggy comes back, it's like, all right, we All for One is dead in the Vestiges world, real world. Deku got to beat his ass. The predecessors got to get their licks back. And now it's all on Shiggy and Deku. And I feel like when that time comes, that's when we're really see inside what Deku feels and got to say and shit like that.
yeah.
Oh,
Is
and
that-
here's the thing. I could see, I'm going to let you go with this. Shigaraki actually giving Deku a bit of a break, partially to gloat, because he still likes to have his fun, because, like he was taunting.
He's such a menace during PLW, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much fun.
Oh, since you like the sky so much, I'll send you straight to heaven. Like, yeah, he got his ass beat after saying it, but like,
Hey, to be fair, they did jump a hold that nigga. That nigga body was breaking down.
They jumped him. You damn right.
Hey, he was at 75. Decker used 100. So hey, listen, bro. Like all right,
But
bro, okay.
you know, like actually, you know, Volk, I'm gonna let you go because I don't want to take too much away from your point.
Okay.
Time.
Okay. So oh God, what was I gonna say? I'm reaching for it. It's okay. So you have Deku, who's like just like he's reached this point where like he was like weakest of the class and whatnot, and like in typical shonen fashion, like just gets boom right at the top. And you have all these people who are united in seeing this guy fall, but it's like literally what happens after that is what I'm like thinking about. It's like
what's going to happen between Shigaraki and Deku? Like, what's this conversation going to be like? Because we know there's going to be a pause for conversations just because
exactly
of what happened. Like, which just to reaffirm what we're talking about, though, I love how he said every past user is getting their lick back, because if you really look at page 9, every single one of them has their fist cocked back.
Oh yeah, they're just beating him down.
Like every single one of like Banjo has his
even
left
notice
hand
that.
open.
Like,
but that's just like if he's used a black whip to pull you in.
Oh,
like,
all for one is like remember, he's been holding back against every single one for all user up until the point they passed the quirk on. He's like, okay, don't need you anymore. Kill you, kill you, kill you. Couldn't find the 4th. Kill 5th, kill the 6th, kill the 7th, kill the 8th. No, that's where it stopped. But now he has absolutely zero reason to hold back. But it's ironically at the point where he can do absolutely nothing because of Aizawa and Monoma using Razor on him. It's like it's literally the most critical moment. He's the most powerful person there ever was, and he still can't do anything because it's like he's being denied the opportunity. It's like fate is stepping in and is like, no, your turn is past. This is over for you. It's time for the new generation.
So
it's not fate that did that. It was my hatred for him that manifested. I'm just letting y'all know right now.
So can I've
been his number one enemy.
A small detail that I just want to randomly toss out, because I was just looking at this and I'm thinking about, because we talked about how the users are grouped by 3s, because like when Voc was listing off the numbers and stuff. But am I the only person who thinks it's funny that like Luke and Leia are taken away and like sent away basically like pretty much when they're like born, maybe a little while after they get, that whole situation organized or whatever. And One For All also left for like 18, 19 years for the 4th user to bring back that hope.
Are you kidding me? Is My Hero Academia Rise of Skywalker a rewrite? Is that like a legit rewrite to fix that shitty movie?
He's like, hold on, let me fix this shit, bro, because y'all don't.
But don't you forget that
that's actually genius, because like Shigaraki is like Kylo Ren. You could have had Palpatine try to possess him or something. He gets killed by the end, and then it's Kylo versus Rey or whatever. Oh.
And you remember, like Palpatine did try to absorb their power as a dyad.
So let me say this though, because this is the weird thing. I need everybody, and I may be watching this. You got time of the day. I promise you do. Go watch a video called The Holy Trinity on Anika's channel. Because the more and more this shit fucking goes on, the more I really truly be like, I thought it was revolutionary at the time. It made me look at everything differently. But the more time goes on, it's just like the vestige and the real person kind of went 2 different things. Because it's contradicting. I don't care which way you're trying to spend it. This nigga saying, I already passed the baton on the Tamura Shigaraki. Where's my other self? Pass baton.
Well,
where's my other self? It's like, all right, nigga, like, is it your other self? Is it Shigaraki? All for the boy? No, it's just for the body. Like, you Ujiko, y'all really contradicting yourselves. Like, you could try
if
to.
If you think about this as Jungian psychology, you have like your persona, the front you give to the world. Then there's your true self, your shadow self, who you don't want to show anybody. And I think All For One's vestige in a lot of ways really like he really speaks to what like All for One's inner wants are. Like he still wants to be in the game. Like he still wants to be part of everything. Still wants to be the greatest. And he can't accept that like with the march of time and his own body being like 100 years old, it literally cannot evolve. It cannot handle the strain of nomification. It can't do any of this.
To quote Skip Bayless, truly Brady-esque.
Also, so to build onto that, I think that's actually a point that I bring up in that video that I just linked because East mentioned it. But there is a clear disconnect between, and like I agree to a certain extent, like what you said, but I think All for One is also just very aware of the fact that, like what I mentioned, that like he is objectively mortal, like mortal. Like it doesn't matter if he puts his quirk in another person's body. Objectively, the body that he has grown in, lived in, thought in, will be dead.
You would have been better off brain swapping, nigga, to be honest.
Like he knows,
Or better off dead.
Like the physical version of him, that like his being is eventually going to just be gone. And I think that, like kind of how you mentioned, like that consciousness, because I've been looking at All for One as like the quirk itself, because I think when we saw him like it as a vestige, kind of be like, it's okay if you destroy me, when he started getting decayed. I think that when we talk about how quirks have an impact on personality, the quirk itself is deciding more of what that personality left inside of that vestige is thinking than the actual consciousness of All for One. I think there's a slight disconnect between how his quirk feels about things, like how the quirk, and then how he does with the layers of attachments that he's had. Because we have these random moments that he doesn't have to put on the show. Like that umbrella for Ujiko, for Kyudagaraki, has always sat out so oddly to me because he just didn't have to do that.
Dead ass. When you said that shit,
Garaki would have gladly carried that umbrella for him. And so it's so odd that he did that.
Like, that's why I said, when you said that shit, yo, for real, Spectre, he want to be Kenjaku so bad, bro. But you're not him. You're not that guy. But it's like you said, Anik, it's like that shit makes me different. Like, I'm not trying to like say, oh, he really got a heart of gold. Nah, nigga, he evil, he a dickhead. Fuck that nigga. But it's like when I seen that last panel, it's like there's these little moments again. Everybody, no matter how fictional these characters are, how it's like this. All Might we seen as a god, this, that, and the other, right? Imagine how we not had All Might's secret right off rip. We would have seen him how everybody else seen him. The GOAT, the legend, the myth. He can do anything. When in reality, he's human. The more you pull back the layers, the more you see who this nigga really is, how much he had to struggle, all the feelings he actually has. And that's the same with All for One. We didn't know who the fuck he was. What is his real face like? It's always hidden. He's so mysterious. The more you peel back the layers, the more this nigga isn't some genius mastermind. In reality, this nigga, all that happened with All for One is he's an opportunist. And I talked about this with Tarnish, and he really made me open my eyes even more just recently. Shout out to fucking Bishop Tarnish. If we were ghetto. It's just that all he does is pick up scraps. If you are the strongest nigga in the era where all superpowers come, you don't really have to try that hard or think that hard to be an evil mastermind. Your influence goes on its own. All you have to say, oh, look what I can do. I'm stronger. Follow me. Huh, you don't have to. You don't have to plot mastermind. If anything, check off what's smarter than this nigga.
I think we also have to consider, like, remember at the start of this series, like how things kind of were perceived. Like All Might was like number one, like he was the greatest, and then Deku's the successor.
Yep.
From everybody else's perspective, All Might was like the protagonist of the story. He was the hero, right?
Yeah.
And Deku slowly becomes that hero over time, where like he earns his status as like the central figure. There's like a shift that happens after Culture Festival, and it's like a transition from during Pro Hero and then Joint Training, where the story focuses less on how, I mean, All Might is still a big influence, and they bring it up and stuff like Villain Hunt, but the story begins to focus more on how everything also connects back to All for One. And I see people still argue to this day is like, oh, who's the main villain? Well, obviously it's All for One. No, well, Shigaraki was built up as a villain. And I'm just like, both of them are the villains and the main antagonists at the same time, just like Deku and All Might are kind of the main protagonists on their own end, right? And so it's like, they're not mutually exclusive. A story can be tackled from multiple different angles. And so when you get to this conflict right here, and you have All Might who's accepting that he's now mortal. He's eventually going to die. So he's going to help everybody best he can. Then you have All for One who can't accept that, and he still wants to stick around, and he still wants the ring, he still wants everything.
And it's crazy.
So
Speaking of All for One and him sticking around, I also want to talk about why. I think it has to do with, because I'm looking back at the chapter and I'm seeing that nigga cry again. So I was just thinking of his brother. I'm starting to think that it's mainly about him trying to relive, because we were speculating on why he was crying, and a lot of us were kind of under the same consensus that it was that his brother died. And I think, we know that, at least in my opinion, he gave Shigaraki like his family name. I think he's trying to relive that dynamic through Shigaraki. Like he wasn't able to, I guess, use his brother the way that he intended. And, people came in to stop that. So I think with Shigaraki, I think maybe this was his plan from the beginning, or maybe at the start, this wasn't his intention, but maybe he started to think like, oh shit, maybe I can have that dynamic with Shigaraki. So it's kind of, because again, like you guys are saying, a lot of the things that he's doing is very contradicting. And I think once people start to do things that are contradicting, that don't make sense, it's kind of runs by emotions and not, like that part of your brain starts to take over. And I think that's why he's doing all these things, because he's trying to relive that dynamic with his brother, but now through Shigaraki.
He's a narcissistic parent. Like he wants to live through Shigaraki.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's the thing. That's the thing, because it's like he's not that guy. What he
he's
is,
not. We've been.
He's literally just a big ass opportunist. He's not no Eisen nigga. He's not no real moderate nigga. He's not like these other niggas. He's literally just an opportunist. He had the strongest quirk back in the day. Nobody could deny him. He don't really have the scheme. He's like, oh, niggas doing this for me. If I just invoke my power, I can let niggas do all the little work and this and the other. The more he crept back to the shadows, the bigger the cockroach he became. And it wasn't like, ooh, I have this. He just like, okay, I got a backup plan and a backup.
He believed his own hype.
Yeah, it was like,
and that's what I was saying.
Exactly.
I got a backup plan, but it's like, if you look at all his backup plans, like, if you were really that nigga,
it's literally just him having like eternity to fuck around.
And I'll also argue that he's very like simple-minded. Like he kind of has a one-track mind. Like he's trying to do this one thing, and so he doesn't really realize the things that are going on in the background. Hence,
oh no,
who's pulling up at the end? Who's pulling up at the end of this chapter?
Let me ask y'all.
If he really was going to get to Deku right, Bakugo is one way to do it, but he didn't pay attention to who else he's close to in 1A.
Even a little.
At all.
He didn't pay attention to Ida, Ochako, Todoroki, Suyu, even Aoyama. He just doesn't think like this. He has tunnel vision. He sees one thing, one for all. Anything directly relating to that, that's what he's going to go for.
And that's one of the that's one of the things that's funny is that Shoto was right when he was like, Awful One wants you out in these streets, which is funny because I think that was another thing that we had started to talk about on stream a little about how terrible it actually was that Deku was doing that. And then Hori was like, I watched, so I got y'all covered. But to a certain degree, it's like Shoto was wrong in that Awful One would never have thought to just simply attack UA. Like that was an overestimation we made in his character, that he just didn't have the logic to think I can just attack UA or do something like this that will force him to be in a specific spot and make it easier for me to jump him. Even knowing he still has that air blast quirk. You telling me he couldn't pull up?
He's actually very lazy.
This is what I'm saying.
Like he doesn't like to act.
Finally, we talked about how he's trash. I like this agenda. Keep it going.
Shigaraki learned how to be proactive. He learned how to get on the ball. Overhaul, like when he was moving, they were moving him to prison. It's like, oh, we're gonna get them.
That was nasty. I'm not lying.
Bro, that is actually, in my opinion, one of the most powerful weekly released chapters in MHA. Like it didn't outtrend the presidential election or nothing like that, but I think that chapter was such a turning point for a lot of the fandom. Because Shigaraki was one of these characters that we were watching grow, and I was fascinated in like how he was growing and the stuff they were talking about. But he wasn't like up there in my list of people that I wanted to really see on screen yet still. He took Overhaul's arms, and I was like, he's that guy.
He's that guy.
Like,
so So like,
why waste effort going head to head with somebody? You just let them fight each other, and you come in and you get what you want anyways. It's
exactly. It's like, why waste the energy? And to top that off, to crescendo into the final part of the chapter, why he did that and why he got that was because he simply trusted his allies and said, "Yo, Toga, twice. I got faith in you. We gonna make a fool of these niggas. They don't know we the league, bro. We not betraying. So I got you. I got you. We got our back." And little does he know now, I'm telling you, Shigaraki letting off one get his ass beat, and he's counting on Spinner because Spinner not thinking about shit.
There's another
I can't
funny
wait for that.
wrinkle to Shigaraki versus Overhaul, because like, you know, Overhaul is also trying to be like this composed villain, and he puts the chessboard in front of him. He's like, you got to look at things like very carefully, look at a game of chess, and Shigaraki's just sitting there. It's like, the fuck are you talking about? This is a game. I can just get you immediately and solve everything. And that's what he does. It's like, he doesn't bother playing the game. He lets other people play the game for him, and then he comes in and gets the king anyway. He's like, sucks.
And that's what's so funny about the analogy too, because, and this was again something to build up Dabi as another, like, because you know the Todorokis are like a very traditional Japanese family. So like,
you know, shogi and all that.
Yeah, like, so of course when Shigaraki simplifies it to, you just take their king, and Dabi's like, it's a bit more than that. Both of those were designed to like structure the points, which is like eventually Shigaraki would take out the king, you know, when it came to Overhaul, when it came to Redestro, inevitably the Demon King, as you know, All For One has dubbed himself. Shigaraki is the number one regicide committer.
But here's the crazy thing.
You're
okay?
done. Like, if Shigaraki would have a problem with Luffy more than likely. What king?
No,
Let me give that man a high five. Like,
stop it.
So,
Gear 5 versus Decay and All For One. What did that look like? Can All For One steal devil fruits? I don't know.
It'd be one of those scenes where like Luffy wouldn't be able to fly, and then he'd be running away, and then the cliff would melt, and then he'd still be running on air, and then he'd look down, and that's how that would end. Is him falling down.
But you know what's crazy? Okay, so AFO, he be playing chess, right? But my nigga Shiki plays Final Fantasy. Okay, we out here with the JRPG. Okay,
we are not the same. We are not the same.
I made
listen. You were on the checkerboard.
I made this analogy. Like,
I was on a PS2.
All For One is like an 80s comic book nerd sitting down at the table, LARPing Dungeons and Dragons. Shigaraki, he comes from a bit of a different time. He's like, he's gonna sit down for like,
he got his VTuber screen
with his friends all around him. It's like, it's just a difference in perspective.
I know a good way to like, it's to build on your, you know, analogy, as we like to do here in the church. We build on each other's allegories and analogies. So let's keep that 80s, early 90s gamer image in your head. Talking about Demon King, not that part, but Demon King, you know, LARPing out here, basically like trying to build your class and like, oh yeah, you know, I'm the big boss, and like basically taking the biggest spells, all that kind of stuff. Eventually, you know, like AFO is a very min-max style character, right? Like, he puts in the least amount of effort for the most amount of stats. He's trying to get the most busted gear. You just take it like an RPG perspective. Shigaraki is like a video gamer. Same rules apply. Like, there's that RPG element to it, but specifically, we're going to talk about one of my favorite RPGs, Monster Hunter.
I knew he was saying that shit, boy.
So
for Monster Hunter, like, we'll just look at, like, you assess what you're taking into the hunt. Depending on which generation you're playing, some things you need like paintballs,
you have a cat
and all kinds
cook you
of stuff.
A big ass meal.
Yep, you have a cat. You have multiple cats cook you big ass meals. In the current game, they make you dango, and then your character eats them all at once, which is the equivalent of eating 3 Popeyes biscuits with no honey at the same time, and then swallowing them whole.
That's kind of wild.
Hey, that's crazy.
The Monster Hunter canonical characters are OD powerful. Now, but the point is that when you're preparing for these hunts, you got to go ahead and look at your gear, make sure you have potions, things like that. You eat, but depending on what you eat in your meal, it affects what kind of buffs you get. you prepare, you think ahead. But when you're actually playing, this isn't a turn-based RPG where you just get to like set it and forget it. It's an action RPG. So that means you still need to dodge. You got to jump over the monsters. You got to hit them with the counters. You got to do like that same energy that's brought to like the current iteration of Final Fantasy,
jump people.
Kingdom Hearts,
run their pockets,
like, but with more intense setup because the bosses in Monster Hunter, you don't get to see their health bars or anything like that. Only in the 5th generation do you actually see how much damage you were doing as far as numbers go. That's entirely new. So like, but you spend a bunch of time like running around through the world, hunting, gathering materials, trying to take stuff down, being prepared and having to be able to react to. And that's the thing is Shigaraki has the proactive mindset, but has developed and fostered himself in a reactive battlefield. So he combines the two, like you plan ahead, you try to get this stuff. And then you see like you need to trust other people sometimes or have other people do their roles because Shigaraki, unlike All for One, came up playing multiplayer.
Yep.
Came up playing multiplayer, not just against people.
That's a good analogy.
Because All for One's, RPG tabletops, if you're playing like the way he plays, you're basically with people for the sake of benefit, but you're waiting to betray them. Or you're the DM yourself playing the villain. And that's kind of how All for One seems to think of himself, especially when you look at how he tied into other people's lives and backstories and stuff he is. As like the guy writing people's lives, and that's to a certain degree what he's done with Shigaraki, right? Like fostered him since he was a child, basically creating the campaign that Shigaraki was supposed to go on to become the Demon King, where he would eventually possess them, like a Celestial could possibly do in a D&D campaign or something like that.
And then, do they have familiars like in D&D?
You do have familiars in D&D.
So that's akin to Kurogiri being his familiar because
exactly
he had a guy that he besides like, that dickhead All for One.
So you could have like something like, or the Ranger class usually gets paired with an animal, so do some druids. So you could have like a companionship, like a dire wolf or something like that. You can look at Kurogiri kind of similar to that. But like that idea that you build, but like the thing is that Shigaraki played these, like, is taking the same RPGs, but playing them in the modern era, having to fill out a party, work together with them, and he refers to people as different roles within the party too sometimes. So it makes sense then for him to have taken this constant teamwork, having to be proactive and like planning out these missions and allocating his resources accordingly, but then also having to be able to handle the smoke, understands that sometimes you need to wait to strike. And then when you do so with absolute power and with precision and with conviction to that decision.
So let me say, let me say this. With that being said, everything Aniki just displayed here on his screen is a certified fact that you can be a nerd and still get bitches. I just want that to be laid out there.
Oh no, it's been easy like that for like years at this point.
You could be a nerd and still get bitches. Like, in 22nd century now, just want y'all to know that. But before anybody else talks, I just wanted to say, don't think you can sneak in here unannounced and we wouldn't notice. It's none other than the world champion.
World champion Walkers, how you doing?
What's good,
somebody in there?
I was gonna try to segue into a thing where Shigaraki doesn't only play JRPGs. He's on those shooters. He's on those fighting games. He's on those Bloodborns.
He was on Modern Warfare 2 in them live lobbies. They were boxing each other in the chat. It was crazy.
He beat that Lion King game. What was it on the Super Nintendo?
Oh my God, the Super Nintendo Lion King game.
He beat that first try.
Yeah, that was.
First try. That's the kind of man Shigaraki is. That's the kind of gamer he is.
He was calling people slurs in the Call of Duty lobby for sure.
He was.
He was busting, bro. He was busting out the hard S, the hard R, all types of linguistic variations.
Yeah. So and that one guy, that's kind of how I've looked at Yoichi and All for One's dynamic. This is why I once kind of tweeted as a joke, one day we'll find out that Yoichi and All for One played hide and seek when they were children. And what'll end up happening, but the idea that he always wants to be playing this game with Yoichi, which is why I saw some people mention in the chat. So I'm going to float this here now. Do you guys feel like Yoichi might have had the second user kill him because he was already sickly anyway, after giving him one for all?
That's pretty, and that adds on to the Yoichi dying shit, because it would still be like, all right, he died at this point. So it'd be like, did he die on his battlefield, or he died right before then? And All for One was aware of such things happening.
This is still one big game between brothers. Like, to think like All Might being the greatest hero before Deku. Like that's only possible because of these two. That's because Yuichi had that courage to stand up and say, no, I'm going to stand for what's right. I don't have any power myself, but what you're doing is wrong. And that power itself. And also, how do I put this? Like, I lost it. Go back to me in a sec.
Yo, wait a minute. I just want to highlight a banker comment real quick by I can't believe you've done this. Tomura is one of the reasons Spinner doesn't play COD anymore. That's a banker, dog.
Oh my god. When he showed up, he recognized Shigaraki's voice. He was like, wait a minute.
Actually,
You're the one who was spamming CRC logos
you know what?
all across your emblem.
You got it back.
And I know we're flaming all hard right now.
Don't be.
When I hear people talk about like, oh, All For One's an ass villain, he sucks so much, why is he doing this? It's like, well, those are flaws built into his character because A, you need to have a way to defeat him, like demonstrably, like these flaws build up, and two, and B, it's literally so Shigaraki looks better by comparison.
By
like you have this dude keep screwing up, and I've said this, it's like he keeps doing dumb shit because he thinks this is like a comic book. Like he thinks, I don't need to go fight Star along with Shigaraki.
I'll hire an assassin to go
I'll hire
down
assassins
Deku,
to go after Deku.
but I know that she'll change, which is why I'll plant a bomb that doesn't actually kill her.
Yeah, like
So she can
it's
hit
like
a location.
he's
house
addicted. He's
that blows
addicted
up
to the
and doesn't kill
complexity
them.
of it because that's the contrived stuff he read as a boy. And that's what he's made his entire personality. He's a toxic fanboy who just thinks, oh,
Perfect description. Toxic fanboy.
LARPing.
He's someone who supported rolling after the turf reveal. That's crazy.
I'm rereading Harry Potter right now, as a matter of fact.
Boy, that's wild.
It's illuminating.
I just realized
it's fun, but it's illuminating.
The goblin slavery part where they actually like the slavery is crazy.
The house elves. And
the
looking back on
story.
it, book 4 is the absolute worst because half of that book is literally house elf slavery is okay if it's by the good guys. And it's like, what?
I don't know about that, but before Annika,
but that's facts though. That's literally what the story advocates. It's crazy.
So before
that's how you know it was written by a British person.
For Aniki get his thing off. Like Indot said, I'm going to be reaching here. Yoichi is always going to be number one, while All For will always be number 2, said by Indot. Honestly, man, I feel like it's like even if you get a W, how you act kind of says it all. Because it'd be like one of those fucking old school classic Disney movies, right? It'd be like, all right, the good guys kind of lost, but it's what they take in stride and the lessons they learned type B. And it's like, meanwhile, the other niggas being complete dickheads about it after they cheated to do whatever they need to do to win. Because it's like, does that really hold?
Like Simba is like on that hill, and then you see like the clouds.
I want to tell y'all something. So you remember how I was calling Hori fraudulent for his ability to estimate his manga?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So you remember how All For One, when he reveals that he doesn't read past it, he mentioned specifically that he doesn't read past the 3rd volume?
Yeah.
Remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you know what volume 32 is, more or less? The first volume of Act 3.
Yeah.
And you know what? That nigga
you know what the second volume of Act 3 is?
It's when Deku gets back to UA, right?
So you know what the 3rd volume is?
Basically all
Star and Stripe versus All For One. The 3rd volume that All For One did not read past was notice it has him winning a fight and where he left off, where he's victorious. And then everything after that is All For One not being right about jack shit.
That boy,
he's getting his ass kicked.
So think about this for a second now.
Oh,
that means that Hori planned the Star Strike volume to be volume 3 of Act 5 of the, and I want you to think about where we are now in volume count.
So what you're saying is that
have.
All For One has like the same like literacy level of like for Neverworld. That's
like,
crazy.
Oh, chill out.
I
Hey,
like
Don't be a bully because right now
Like,
James Hansen
nothing.
is on top.
Nothing he's doing is sticking.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he killed
Wait, what?
Buffalo by all rights. That should have
Yeah.
stuck. Like
Mhm.
even we
Y'all
were
better update me.
like, how is that possible? Like, but beyond all reason, nothing is going right for him. It's like all the stars are aligning specifically so he can fail.
Well,
And it's
because
like, notice All Might is like hanging in the background. Like he still has his dignity intact. Like he's still like he's accepted his role. He's put himself. He's humble. He's put himself where he's the best fit. All for One has literally put himself in the worst position he could have put himself in. He's put himself right at the forefront, and he's not leading anybody. He's not leading jack shit because they separate everybody. It's like he didn't even prepare for that. Like any comms or whatnot. The heroes have comms. None of the villains have comms.
They,
you know,
only the ones next to the Nomu.
only the ones that
Yeah.
that wasn't even because
Which-
they was trying to link up with
yeah.
that was on Skeptic because Skeptic fucks with Tamora. He ain't fucking with All for One. You can talk about Meguru, all that, but All for One himself, they not fucking with that nigga.
So you know what's funny? Skeptic, like Hawks, is Dobby's recruit. Because if you think about it, like, yes, Skeptic finally committed himself to the League of Villains and their skills or whatever, but he still had that sassiness at the end of NBA, right? Like, you know, he was like, But the thing that seems to have like finally completely sold him on the league was Dobby being like, peep my video.
And doing what he did at the fucking thing.
Like Skeptic became a believer because of Dobby's work.
Yeah.
And Dobby has always been the one who they've said is, oh, he's out trying to get us allies. So in the same way that we saw like Shigaraki kind of grow as a leader, we've seen Dobby like level up as a recruiter and getting people to really believe in and buy into the visions they have.
Because he really been in second in command, vice captain this entire time. From the start, this nigga was really the vice captain. He was the nigga leading the Vanguard squad when they went to the forest camp. Like he been that nigga. He's always been making those like side like
okay, like
vice captain.
Shigaraki might literally power himself through hate, but it's more of like a general hate at everything at society. Do you know the lengths someone will go to if they hate a specific person so much that they are willing to ruin their own life just to ruin theirs? That's what Tommy is with Endeavor. It's
nigga give no fucks, bro. That's insane.
I can respect the level of hating necessary. That's like he's like an Olympian at that though.
Dobby was like, man, this cooks my flesh off. It's a good thing I no longer feel pain from overcooking my flesh off so that I can get even stronger and kill my dad and hopefully cook his off.
You're like,
for years.
Say what you want. Toya, listen, say what you want. Toya is optimistic. He embraces a growth mindset.
Okay, guys.
That's crazy.
Here's a random thought I had reading today's chapter. How much you want to bet this is like a splice between Piccolo and Cell, and like Tenko literally shoots himself out in like a perfected body from like the debilitated, beat up Shigaraki that's being beaten by Deku right now.
I'm leaning towards it.
I did have that thought in passing when like the big ass bulge was like coming in again. I was like, I could really see this nigga physically like separating himself from that motherfucker.
And what is this imagery associated with Shigaraki? He's constantly established as like a butterfly. It's like he's metamorphosing, he's changing.
And you remember I talked about like possibly having like some kind of chrysalis stage. With how big Shigaraki got, it could be that like as we see all that stuff broken away, that we're gonna get like a bit of a transformation if this is where All for One loses control.
So the third form in which All for One uses for Shigaraki's body, and then in that case, and after that, that's when
like, here's the real question:
emergence, so to speak, will come from.
Does his third form get rid of his crustiness? Does he finally moisturize himself? And does he finally?
Does he finally get some shea butter lotion on his?
I don't think there's
skin.
anything in this world.
So let's put it like this. Let's go.
He spent 3 months in a bath, and he looked even worse than before.
Oh, have you gotten out of a bath, bro? That makes your skin really.
Hold on. So let's go with Volk's thing real quick, right? What if Volk is like? What he's right. So how would y'all feel? We had like Shiggy Roth, goddamn, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, bro.
If you don't know who I'm talking about Sephiroth.
Yo, I'm
fucking
happy
Asian.
as long as AFO's out the picture.
Like he
to be
was like,
honest.
what if like the
I'm
nigga
very
was on
easy
his,
to please.
this nigga was on his Griffin shit. He was like beautiful. Like the nigga like eyeliner on and shit. Like he immaculate. Like he an angel from above or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Give it to me. I want that.
I'd be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Bring those lips here, nigga, because you know what? You don't need Vaseline.
Hey,
You beautiful
yo.
man.
Hey, yo.
We even waited for this. We even
This is
waited
what
for
happens when we do streams at night.
y'all creeping into my
That's
hour.
true.
Listen,
This is
I go to-
Odyssey after
listen,
I
dark.
go to
okay?
bed at 10:30. Y'all creeping
No, let
into
me
my
explain
dark
something,
house.
okay? When
Welcome
it's
to church
when
after dark.
listen,
After dark, exactly.
listen, when we are about to fall asleep, we are closer to our true selves. Okay, this is just us being unmasked. Okay,
My true blood.
unmasked, no COVID. You see,
True nigga
Dog.
tree at work.
I like how Spectral put it.
I'm not.
Shiggy's crustiness is a feature, not a bug.
What you mean us?
that's crazy.
All right. Kid
There-
Blue folk, yeah,
I
like
can see the
basically
shadows taking over.
expect it to get wild. And actually, how do you guys feel about that? If Shigaraki ultimately devolves into just a monstrosity, like losing all sense of self entirely from just.
I would like him to at least
being-
have like a second of like having like a really like beautiful kind of like angelic like form, and then have him turn into a monstrosity. Just for my sake.
Well, actually, I would rather have it the reverse. I would like the monstrosity to come first because in this sense is that obviously the Tinkle shit is finna get resolved first. But what's going to crescendo at all this same exact point will be Spinner and them showing up to save Shigaraki so he can get all the shit he needs back and get his quirks and all that back. So I'd rather the big monster come and then they'd be like, all right, because the league has not had their proper final moment together. They have not had it yet. And I see why Horikoshi saved why we became villains too, because now this ties more stuff into Spinner. So if we get like a lot of what Spinner was going through with if we became heroes mind and shit, and then it follows up with Spinner, like, okay, this is what happened, this is what I was going through, blah, blah, blah. It gives more to Spinner's story and this, that, and the other, because like he got a lot of moments to come more so. The only person matching up with him was Shoji, and you got Discuss there too, which is if y'all remember, it's the one nigga with the mask on that was like Liberation Front Not Done. He's one of the only advisors that has a name too. But yeah, it's like all that. I really see like Spinner's moment coming up on that. So it's like they bring him. It's better for him to lose himself and then bring him back, because that's what it needs to happen. Because Shigaraki just turned like it would be kind of counterintuitive. Because like, all right, I got my freedom now. All this shit you've been holding me for so long, and then I'm already got to go out. All right, and I've been whole for this long, and then you have me turn to this giant uncontrollable monster on my Akira shit. Just after I got free, and then you hold me again, it's like, all right, you can always like, all right, now let me put you out your misery type beat. It's like, all right, that's not hitting because I didn't even get to run my range. I didn't even get to use my full power for not a damn lick of shit for like 2 seconds. I've been having to fight this nutsack ass nigga this entire time. He got up one. I had a plan. I got my shit back. Now it's time for me to do my thing, and I got 2 seconds of that. Then I turned to this big amalgamation of bullshit. Like, nah, bro, let my nigga get some justice, all right? He got to die, so he finna go out, let him get some justice to his character. Rather the league bring him back. Everything he did, because everything he did is anti-all for one. He didn't use niggas because they pawns. He said, nah, these are my niggas. Let me get to my allies, my free will. Let that be worth something. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with my nigga dying and my niggas going. They go. By the way, the League of Villains are all going out like goats. If
They better.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Hunter x Hunter is back October 23rd.
Hey!
Wait, what? Hey, yo,
October
yo,
23rd.
bro, that's crazy.
Damn.
Wait, is it the manga or is it the
Damn,
anime?
October is just a good month for
Manga?
The
everybody.
manga.
Hey, that
You know
that
damn
sounds
well
like
it's
bringing
not.
back
Anime.
real Hunter x Hunter villainy. My boy Setten Dish. I'm
That
excited.
nigga built different. Keep that nigga away.
Bruh,
Keep that nigga
yo,
away.
so many people are gonna get stomped out, bro. It's gonna be amazing.
So since we talk about, October being the month, first off, I want to give my condolences for the Chainsaw Man fandom because y'all got a chapter tomorrow and the anime drop. So the amount of niggas that y'all finna get on the TL, the amount of niggas y'all finna get on the TL, I feel bad.
Oh, that's true.
Y'all finna
Twitter
see
might-
Bro, they're gonna.
Twitter might
Bro, they're
I didn't
gonna
even know
say,
that.
Listen,
The manga chapter is dropping tomorrow too. Damn.
Yeah,
bro, let me tell you something. Okay, the amount of like media literacy y'all are about to see there are gonna be like at best preschool level. Okay, it's gonna be painful hearing some of these takes. Prepare. Okay, inoculate yourselves. You know,
Or just be off the platform and not see that shit.
Yeah.
yeah, bro, you're gonna be hearing takes you don't even know could exist.
But that's why we throw out the bad before we talk about the good. I want to talk about something today, y'all.
All right.
Because this is inspirational.
Hold on. Wait. Before you start, I want to acknowledge
And
somebody.
what's that?
Yeah.
What up, Fish?
Uh-oh. Almighty.
What's popping, family?
Don't
How
talk
we
to this
doing,
nigga.
y'all?
Don't talk to this nigga. He got a
buddy.
fresh cut the other
Hey,
day.
what's up, boy?
This nigga posted 4 videos because you know on Twitter you could do that now. Somebody didn't know how to act, bro. This is why you can't get niggas a fresh
Damn.
haircut, bro.
Issa, sounds like you jealous.
Nah.
Sounds like you
Man.
jealous.
Stuff was one thing. He posted 4-7 videos, and you should have seen the fucking caption this nigga had, bro. Even
Man.
you would think something was wrong. Like
Yo, if he look good, he look good, bro. Let him
Thank
do
you.
it.
Have you scared? I thought
Bro,
something
look
was
at this
wrong.
man.
I
Look,
thought
bro,
he was
look at
telling a
him.
story.
Look at this.
That's
He's
funny.
hating on a young man's health.
Nah,
That's
East
crazy.
felt it. He knew what it was.
Nah,
he be doing the
this-
same
he
thing when he get
definitely
that
knew.
cut. He be
Let
doing the
me-
same
Yup.
thing.
let me set this up. The way he tweeted it would make it look like he was telling a story, like an accident happened or something shit like that. This nigga would
Oh,
just talk
stupid
about how
motherfuckers
fucking
on the road, K Drive. Watch out. This man was so excited to share his cut. This man was recording videos.
Dang.
leaving
They calling
the
you
shop.
out,
bro. He whipping the car. He
They
pressing
calling
his
you
shit.
out.
I'm like, yo, this is a nigga if I ever seen one in my life. Cause nobody else act like this when they get a haircut, bro. I'm
Fish,
like,
defend
Another
yourself,
successful
bro.
surgery. Another successful
Right,
surgery.
that's what he said. I was like, I had to peep this shit. I was like, oh, my boy got surgery. He good. This nigga talking about, yeah, fresh cut. Nigga, that's talking about
Wait. Is that what he said?
bro. You think I'm hating? No, this nigga had me worried for a second.
Yeah, never mind.
I was finna go
This is
congratulate.
warranted. This
I
is
was-
warranted.
I
My
was finna
bad.
go
Issa. I dropped the
congratulate
gun.
This is a dub.
This is 100% warranted. Not
And
you
over
trying
here
to say you
talking
got
about,
a surgery and it was a little haircut. That is a
That's
little
surgery.
That's
I was on
hilarious.
the operating. That's the
I
operating
mean, when you
table.
think about it, when you think about
Man
it,
said-
Was it
surgeons don't got to be that deep.
cut that bad? Like,
Dog said,
was your head
this is my
top that nasty?
BBL.
Like, you needed to refer to it as surgery? Yo, bro, you must have been wearing caps every day, bro. Your shit must have been nasty, botched. For you to say surgery, that's such a
Bruh.
strong ass word, bro.
Damn.
Hey, I was on the operating table. I paid good money. And here we are now.
I'm so
You know, I
Hey.
survived.
This nigga got me
Today-
sick, son.
They sedate you,
Bro,
or did you
bro,
go
his
in
hair
like
was
you know?
probably off a perk. That's crazy.
That's crazy as fuck.
All right, now hold up, because Fish
You know
just
what?
got in
We
here.
glad. Are you in recovery right now?
Yeah, you know.
Nigga's gonna go on remission.
No.
Second.
Yeah, to give it another 2 weeks. But what's up, Aniki?
All right, Fish. So how was you feeling this week?
I like the chapter. I wasn't even, I had nothing crazy. My favorite panel. Well, I had a question though, because I was here late. I was over here streaming God of War. I never played it before till today, but
Oh,
so the beginning of the chapter, AFO's crying. I don't
yes, bro.
Yo,
Bro,
I didn't even notice that until they
why
brought it up.
is everybody like so shocked?
Yo, wait, let's ask him. Let's ask him. What did you think of that? Like, why do you think he was
I
crying?
was confused. I'm like, what? What? Like, is he like? I don't know. Like, what's going on? Because the only thing I could think of would be like something in relation to his brother that would have him in tears like this. But he's just fighting the second user. Like, maybe he's mad the second user took his brother away or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we were speculating about that.
Like we talked about like possibly like having like euthanized the first user, just because he was sickly anyway. So imagine if you got like some kind of super cancer, which was then getting accelerated by the fact that you had 2 quirks in your body when you wasn't supposed to. Now you done with that, but Awful One gonna chase you down and put you in a room anyway. So you might as well just get a little bullet through the head and call it a day. So it's not too far-fetched. I also just think that he's mad that somebody else is playing their game now. Somebody else had one for all. And by the time that he fought him, he had access to his meta ability, but he didn't have one for all. They didn't know that they were just coasting on embers. Because, they all died, relatively soon after giving it up. So he basically fought this dude thinking like, all right, cool, whatever. I passed that on. I almost took you out. And off of one sitting here, like, you don't have my brother's quirk, so I can't even take it from you. But then on top of that, you actually made me have to try, but also I'm not getting what I want. So I think he's still like hurt, but also I think part of him understands that the brother having his quirk passed along is literally like the brother saying, I reject you, brother. I refuse. I will go through such lengths to be away from you that I will just hop between random people before I'd ever go back to you willingly. And
that's
what's
insane.
more,
That's
I'm
tough.
trying to take you down. Like,
That's
so one
tough,
day
bro.
I'm gonna be big and strong enough to beat up my big brother, and that's when we're gonna see each other again.
That's when I'm gonna run the fade.
And then
But you know what?
Shigaraki,
I
I mean,
respect it. That involves a lot of preparation.
I mean, I also like seeing Shigaraki with a hole in his chest, but I'm like, you know me, I'm on that train. I'm like, this ain't it, bro. As soon as Shigaraki get his quirks back, this is gonna be a whole different fight. But then even seeing my goat spinner at the end, I lost it. I was like, yo, he looks crazy.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, bro, this finna be a whole when a block spin black back, that's crazy. But you know what? Since we on the topic of block spinning back and shit like that.
Oh my gosh.
I just want to talk about you should be saying oh my gosh. I just want to talk about something so inspirational. This is like it's truly like inspiring and legendary. When you do this not one time, not two times, but 3 times in a row. If you don't know what I'm talking about, not one time, burn the witch. Not 2 times, Hellheart. Not 3 times, Blood War. Get it back in blood, baby. From a canceled manga, bro. Rush, you clipped it.
That first episode, y'all aren't ready.
Bro,
y'all not ready for this arc.
Nigga,
I want y'all to understand.
Not ready.
I shed tears, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I was actually shocked. I was like, why my eyes getting a little watery, bro?
And I looked over at my girl and I said, baby, if I gotta kick somebody in the face, you gonna hold the window open for me so they make sure they don't break our windows?
Yo, that's a speed feat. That's a speed feat for Orihime.
It actually is. And she said yes.
That's crazy.
So if ever gotta kick somebody out the window.
Stop hating on my girl, bro. Stop
though.
hating on her, bro.
Listen, bro. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me tell y'all something. Wait, hold on.
Get off my bed.
When I saw that
He asked him
episode,
twice. It's like, fine.
Bro,
wait a minute.
Shit was
when I saw that episode,
bro, and she was like, oh, I love that part.
I love how casual like Orihime is. Like one of my gripes with the original anime is like they kind of make Orihime and Ichigo's relationship like
they ruined her character, bro.
Really weird.
Yeah.
It's like
her
he's
character's
sort of her.
No,
because
they do
I ain't
3
gonna lie.
things. They do 3 things in my opinion. They basically change scenes completely. They either remove them or they replace them with Rukia. I never really noticed it, but until I read
they
the
were
because
like
when you finish a series and then they had an agenda.
They love.
They had an agenda.
Rukia.
That's how I understood it. And I literally from
They
that,
was
that's when
putting
I
that
decided to
political
read the manga
propaganda.
for
doesn't even
episodes
say
that I watched.
Kurosaki-kun in the manga. She never says that.
I was actually, guys, I don't think you understand how much I was so confused because before this, like reading Bleach,
Also,
time I've ever read something that I've watched religiously. So I was so confused. I was like, oh wow, I just
Special
assumed
edition.
that anime was just a carbon copy of anime. Like that's what I thought it was. But once I saw that, I was like, oh wow, they actually changed it. So from then on, like when I started say Attack on Titan, I don't read the manga. I watch the episode and then I read the corresponding chapter just so I get all of it. Cause I'm like, I do not trust Animation Studios. Cause after I saw that, I was like, what? Y'all really just did your own thing. You're like, yeah, we're just gonna switch up. I was like, that's crazy.
But let me
hold on. Even the 20th anniversary agenda cover got an agenda to it. Because look at that.
It's Rukia,
bro.
When Bleach was having think about it. When Bleach was having filler.
Come on,
wait. When Bleach was having filler, who was like the most focused on like female character? Think about it.
Was it Orihime or was it Rukia? I think it was Rukia.
I think it was Rukia, to be honest.
It was Rukia.
These guys got an agenda. They trying to brainwash. They trying to brainwash.
No, the biggest agenda was the episode when the last episode where Ichigo had his powers and his powers are diminishing in the anime. Oh my god, bro. That shit was why were they ice skating? Like I was like, what the hell am I seeing? Like you literally have to just watch the last 5 seconds. That shit was so they were basically on a date, bro. They were holding hands and I was like, hey, what are y'all trying?
That's see, and I
That
think
shit
that's
was
part of
wild.
Like
why
I'm saying, they
I'm
were trying to
so at
brainwash
odds
us.
when that kind of discourse comes up, because like to me, Ichirukis are basically like Baku decks. Like,
Bro, they got
That's
finesse. That's
crazy.
like
But
you
that's
just
because
not you
That's
just
all I
missed the
gotta say.
point.
You
Like that's
got
all I can say.
finesse.
Like you missed the point.
Yeah.
Bro. It's not even that though. I just feel as though that they want. I literally when people have like such a strong, I just asked like point blank, have you ever read the manga for like the first parts of the series? And they were like, no. I said, cool. I kind of understand why you think that because it's like it's feeding to that agenda, like every certain scenes. But I'm not gonna lie,
like I said, they wanted to brainwash the anime fan base.
I feel as though they fed to that. They fed to that agenda.
I think Bakudek is only slightly worse because like the
I
MHA
think it's slightly worse, I
anime
agree.
doesn't really pay Bakugo any favoritism. In fact, any
thank you.
favoritism they have is for Ochako. Like they'll give her some
That's
extra
crazy.
scenes with that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But to be honest, yeah, I would agree
Season
with that.
4, what is it like? Season 4 had a filler episode for her.
Yeah,
she got more emphasis since like season 5, just with the way the scenes were handled. And, you know, her having actual
the whole
stuff
thing
set
with
up.
Black Whip 2 in season 5,
Oh, yeah,
like
'cause
she
it
was
was
the one that was
the-
there. Like there's
My God. And you had people like
Yeah.
freaking out, like, why is the scene so well animated? Because
And we
like
still had
yeah. Oh my gosh.
and we still had that random episode last season too, didn't we? Want to because it was the internship with Nijire, or was that season 4?
season 5, they
Yeah.
had like
Oh
they
yeah.
were stuffing
yeah,
drugs
yeah.
or something, and it
That
was
was season
used
5.
to
That was
set
season
up
5.
movie
Yeah.
3. Yeah, like they give her all the extra scenes. Also, like in the very last,
Yeah.
not the last episode,
100%.
when they're changing,
100%.
when they're in the change room, she has like this super well
Yeah.
animated like die for the Netsuke, and it's like, and oh, as a matter of fact, the person who animated the Black Whip sequence is actually animation director for the next episode, Hawks versus
Oh.
Twice. So
So we already know they're gonna throw in the scene with
Well, we know
Throw
that the
that bitch
opening.
at Bird.
So at
Yeah,
first,
we'll
I
be
was a
like-
little disappointed that they didn't leave off on the cliffhanger this last week because I was like, man,
Mm-hmm.
that was they finished there. But then I thought about it and I was like, all right, if they play their cards right, then the opening scene is literally, "Are you winning,
Yeah,
son?"
exactly.
Like-
Yeah. Yeah.
with the belt and everything.
Yeah.
And honestly, it might have been
Yep.
better to end this episode on Kaminari's moment and then contain Hawks versus Twice
Yeah.
all at the next episode. So
Which we're getting the number 2.
Are you prepared for that?
Like one episode or 2 episodes later, it's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like the pace of this season, and that's why I was like, no, look, if Bones actually just gets to run a healthy production schedule, like there were some shots that I was like, that's a still. And I'm like, okay, but we're adapting at a pretty steady pace of about like 3 chapters an episode, so we're utilizing some of these stills here. But also what this tells me is that you guys aren't blowing money on sequences or parts that could be super cool parts, but you know that they're not as important as what we
What's
have
coming.
coming.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot, because like once you get to like Endeavor versus Shigaraki, it only gets harder to decide what to
God.
like calm down and like not to
What-
spend too much resources.
next season,
Yeah.
next season they're in so much trouble because like there's even less downtime. There's going to be like 2 episodes of downtime in season 7.
That's
And that'll be it.
true.
The rest is
And-
action.
Because like
Yeah.
remember we talked about this. If they just keep it at like that 13 chapter or a 3 chapter an episode kind of clip, and maybe just toss 1 extra chapter on to the last 2 episodes of the season, we could go all the way to the end of the Stardust Straight Fight. And if you look
You
at
think?
it from that perspective, because if they keep up this 3 chapter an episode pace, episode 13 will actually finish on the last page of 296.
Damn, that'll be a fire ending.
So yeah, it's
Hope that
the
happens.
heed me my tireless no move. Boom. That's the episode 13.
I-
And
I-
for English audiences, that'll likely mean a 3-week break because usually after the first core, there's a delay in the dubbing.
Yeah, and also like like I'm expecting like the aftermath chapters. You're gonna get nothing from that animation wise. They're gonna be completely dead, like because they have to. They have to conserve.
Well, let me say this though. But in those times, there are certain scenes that are really heavily impactful, and you can do a lot. Like the All Might and Deku conversation. The way they really did that, that wasn't in the manga. Them niggas was like, yo, they put the music on, and it was like all the shit you did. Like they were laying that shit on.
And you could show scenery and shit for extra couple seconds.
Yeah, it was like going through all Deku's trials. He was really gassing the fuck out of Deku. Like I was like, all right, damn, nigga, you putting extra shit on this motherfucker, like for real. Nigga. But then like
and montages too. Like if you're talking about the past, they can spend time montaging like those scenes and shit. Yeah, and then, they can finish that. They can finish that.
And then, oh God, and then like also with like the eraser head scene, he was like, and then Deku was talking to Eraserhead was talking as I was talking to Deku, like the power trauma and shit. And it was like they were talking like after the meeting with Overhaul. That scene didn't have all that goddamn like sunlight peeking through the window onto the horizon, like the field vibes. Like you can go hard on like somber shit too. Like it's just all about how much you want to put into it. It don't need a bunch of oh my God, Sokka, oh my God, look at the way his hair flow like this, like type be like it's like you could do a lot with a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, they did a lot with the open. Like it's just about how you really proceed to go at it. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the person. If we give everybody the same tools in here, they're all going to come up with something different. It's about your thought process in which you put the creativity to it. Type B. But that's enough to sound like sophisticated. Nigga time.
Okay.
Hold up.
Shut up.
My brain, I just had like a brain explosion about how one of the things that this fight also proves to All For One is that as much as he tries to call All Might a brutish oaf, that All Might is a more physically skilled combatant than him. And the reason why I say this is because Melvin has the ability to create enough force to create air pressure. We saw it happen. He can, he's straight up said, my physicality is on par with All Might in his prime. So he's saying, I have that durability, I have that raw power like All Might, that punching power, etc. Whereas Deku is the one who's using multiple quirk combinations to fight him. So the shoe is on the other foot for All For One here. He is fighting the user of One For All as if he were the wielder of One For All, as he had come to understand it.
Yeah.
And One For All is fighting everyone else's understanding of it in all the previous runs. But it's he's fighting All For One's understanding of his own power. And All For One basically is, when put in the same position as All Might and given the power of All Might, cannot handle taking on an opponent of which
still trash.
He's not actually as good as All Might no matter what.
I told y'all this nigga was just OD.
I could have told you that.
He's not super duper nice like he's not super duper nice like that. Like if I promise you, if I had 100 years to fuse quirks and learn quirks,
if I had to compare,
I would have been way more nice than him, bro. Give me his power, bro. I would have done way more.
All For One's quirk has basically let him do easy mode his entire life, because most quirks are pretty trash, right? Like it's just specifically a point in the story. So when he gets to All Might and like he's fighting him, obviously wasn't prepared. They wound each other. So he comes back and he's like, all right, I'm gonna tackle the final boss. I'm gonna do the same shit I did before.
Dude, listen, if I had AFO, I would have a criminal empire the size of like the US. Okay,
it's like because Deku unlocking those quirks means he has automatically upped the difficulty. It goes from like the easiest mode to ultra hard mode. You're not ready for this.
If I had AFO, I'd have a fresh cut every day.
You mean you'd be on the surgical in recovery?
It's like
you'd be in recovery after. So
it's like when an RPG boss. It's like when an RPG boss does not use like their most powerful attacks. Like, and some abilities are just locked on lower difficulties because, like it makes it easier on the player.
Yeah, like
Deku has all those abilities unlocked. So All For One is just not prepared for that. Like he's not experienced fighting to that level.
there's another thing that I want to say about this now, and we're going back to the Monster Hunter well, partially because I play a lot of Monster Hunter, but also this is a really good set. So I don't know how many of you have played RPGs where you get to like kind of play around with your stats and like use abilities to like stack and like up your crit percentage or your raw attack power versus like your element power and all that other stuff, like having different types of damage to work with and being able to manipulate your damage stats. But if you played enough of RPGs like that, you know that over time online, there's been like a speed run meta that's like built up in all these games. Like, what is the optimal min-max strategy? So like if you're playing games like Monster Hunter, sometimes you'll play with somebody who completely like slots in a bunch of like raw attack power. They've got like their dog with them because the dogs have a higher DPS rate than the cats because the cats spend a bit more time doing utility skills. You know, they got like all the affinity they need, and they've got the build that trades some of their defense for offense and all this stuff. And that's kind of how All For One played. He was playing like an old, like a very classic, well, I'll just out damage everything build for a very long time just by stacking a bunch of stuff. And then he played somebody who had a comparable or like defensive build where it's like it can keep up with the amount of damage like or ability and power you can throw out while also hitting you back in the case of All Might. And now when you flip it, he can't run that class. He can't just run a non-caster class. As much as he's spent all his time being the Demon King, he can't play another role. Straight failure.
Boo-boo ass nigga. Boo-boo ass.
I can't wait for that nigga to die, bro. I can't wait. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, if it keeps, I'm just a broken record at this point. But
It's
even
booty
him
butt
crying,
cheek.
like I'm.
It's
Booty
coming.
butt
It's
cheeks.
coming.
Booty
It's like
butt
it's gonna
cheek.
be. It's gonna
I
be at a
can't wait.
moment where All For One thinks like everything's turning around for him, and he's like,
Oh, it's
"I'm gonna
be
get back on
beautiful.
top." You're gonna see. He's like, that's why he's like just being like super childish this chapter, like he's saying that. He's
Exactly.
like, nah. Why are you
Out
doing
here
this?
crying like a freaking goof.
So this ties into that
Look at
min-max
you
thing that I was
crying,
talking
and you
about.
100 years old. You weren't even old enough to
Because-
produce tears.
Like when Title Up Take 2 came out, I posted a video on Twitter of 3 people that I was playing Monster Hunter with getting one shot all at the same time. So we instantly failed it. 3 people died at once. And the reason why that happens is because they play like All For One with the, I'm just going to min-max, slot in a bunch of damage. And so you kind of see you're going to see the results of that here with Shigaraki, like letting him do that, seeing how he plays through the game, and then taking All For One's experience and his loss and turning that into a bit more of a winning scenario for himself, at least for a while in the story. We know we're going to
And
get that.
I believe Horikoshi confirmed that like Deku's greatest obstacle is not All For One, it's Shigaraki.
It's
himself.
Shigaraki.
Oh, you forgot.
Yeah.
Vote. They didn't peep that part. They damn sure peeped the year, but they ain't gonna.
Yeah,
respread that shit.
they said you
They-
need to know this part.
They ain't gonna run it back like they ran it forward.
And it
Yeah,
makes
exactly.
sense though, because like even if All For One is like the overarching evil over the entire story and is the reason why this is all happening, Shigaraki is directly Deku's antagonist. Like he's directly the actual problem he's trying to solve. Like All For One is like I'm gonna tell you this right now. All For One, he's just the first boss wave. He's the guy who's like dancing and attracting all the attention. He's like, look at me, look at me, look at me, because
This
you
is
know he's
King
a
Godfrey.
yeah, he's a narcissist. He thinks, oh, I'm like this is who I am. Then you have Shigaraki, who's like doing the actual moves and the actual plays. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna let you have your fun. You
And
beat
he's
me this
more
time.
of
It's too much effort to fight you off. I'm just gonna wait. You clearly don't know what you're doing. I'm gonna trust my allies. They're gonna do their thing. And then right when you're least prepared, because I know you're not gonna be prepared for it, I'm gonna swing back in. I'm gonna knock you off that throne. Boom.
Yup.
It's back on top.
And it's
for
gonna
me,
be
bitch.
beautiful.
Shigaraki season. That's what he's doing.
Like
right
that's why I hate All For One is because he robbed us of that. That's my
Well,
main gripe with him.
So again,
And he ran
once
his course for way too damn long.
once
Like,
I
he
think
needs to sit
there's
down.
I think
So-
there's a
so-
discussion to be had about this being a little too long in the tooth. And you know, I think Hori sometimes again he said this was gonna be like 5 volumes in his head. He probably
Yeah,
thought like the
smoking
AMO
crack.
shit was gonna be like 3 volumes.
True.
Yeah.
But then, you know, things changed and
Yeah.
but on the flip side, the fact that he keeps underestimating how much he has left also means the same for Shigaraki. So whatever those remaining 2 volumes are going to be, it's probably going to be even longer. So.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say with that. We are in those 2 volumes, and it's not looking good. It's not looking like this is those 2 volumes.
So let me say this too. A lot of times we always quote, "Oh, Star Wars this, Star Wars that," but a lot of people don't really mention how he also commented how Final Fantasy IX is his favorite video game ever.
Yeah,
which once again,
I brought this up to you, East, all those years ago when he said that. It's like the way it seems. All for One seems to take the role of Garland, where he kind of comes in and kind of steals Kuja's thunder, and he's like, I'm your main antagonist right now. And then blindsiding.
Final Fantasy 9 is his favorite, right?
Yes, Final Fantasy 9.
And then Kuja comes in, blindsides him, backstabs him, throws him off the cliff, and he says, "We're doing things my way. I'm going to end everything. I'm going to destroy everything."
That's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Basically, that's my thing too. It's like, well, that's also a direct reference. Like, it's like, yeah, Kuja, because he created Kuja just to be like this little catalyst and this little toy to do his little shit. But Kuja was like, nah, fuck all that shit, nigga. I'm a ride. I'm gonna be the digger.
The whole Deku rescue arc too is like
that's simple.
Is a direct parallel to that game where I don't want to give too much away. Like the basic gist of it is Zidane learns something about his true nature that leaves him in a funk for a while, but then the party comes in and it's like there's even a track about it that says you're not alone. Like it's specifically for that moment, them reaching out to him. And so it's like it's beat for beat, like what happens in MHA during Villain Hunt.
So I can see a lot of it might have like story beats for like a lot of time from like Star Wars in it, but overall, when it comes to deeper meanings and like themes of heroes and stuff like that, I see a lot more Final Fantasy 9. And I haven't even played it, but I watched a couple of videos on it and how they just like, it'd be some long ass motherfucking videos, nigga, like hour long. So I got like a deep enough understanding for that shit. So it's just
I remember playing Final Fantasy 15. It took me like 12 hours to beat one boss. It was like the giant turtle one. I was just hacking away at it, man. I do not know how I did that.
Why would you do that?
Nigga, what the fuck?
I don't know. I wanted the street cred for it.
Nigga, street cred? Nigga, no.
Clearly, people asking you, why did you do that? There was no street cred to gain from that.
They go black. I don't know.
Man, I'm just making excuses at this point. I need something to justify it.
You know what? You a better nigga than me. I would have cheated so goddamn fast, boy. I mean, that bitch speed cheating.
No, I would have. No, I would hate.
I've been too much of a hater. How to beat this nigga?
All right,
how to beat this fellow? That's what I meant. That's what I had said.
Oh, by the way, fun fact: y'all know Kanye West started a Christian academy in Los Angeles. It offers parkour courses.
All right, so like I was saying, we're gonna start going around the horn, wrap things up. Oh, let's see. Let's start with Squid. Final thoughts.
Listen, man, I just saw a dude get punched 5 times in one punch. That's all I gotta say, man. 10 out of 10. Gas. Okay. Now, if he does that 10 times, we might have to put an exponent on that. Now it's 10 squared out of 10. You got to divide that by a decimal. That's crazy.
All right. Nafisa?
To be honest, I don't really have much to say that's like crazy. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm a broken record. I just want AFO to die. I'm tired of that nigga. I want him gone. I'm tired of his existence. The spinner thing though, I'm not gonna lie, I have a short attention span, so I always be forgetting about the other characters. So seeing Spinner at the end was actually really nice because I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about you. So I'm hoping in the next chapter, I forgot about Spinner. All right, chill out. There's a lot of these people in these chapters. All right, I didn't even see AFO crying at the beginning. Okay, I just be reading and then I come here and then y'all remind me. All right,
and that's facts.
Anyways.
Here's the benefit of this.
I'm hoping we dive into that though. Yeah.
Here's the benefit of this. here's the benefit of this. Like I know people have been irritated by All for One and whatnot. It's like, oh, when is Shigaraki coming back? When is Shigaraki come back? Chapter Shigaraki comes back, that is going to make waves. Like that's gonna be something everybody's talking about. Is like, oh, Shigaraki's back. Capitalizing on that hype because we've been deprived of him for almost 2 years now. When he's fully back,
bro, it feels long now.
When he's fully back, he's gonna get everybody back on board again. You want to know why? Because like it's gonna make all that stuff before that stuff you need to get through to get to the Shigaraki parts. That's what everybody's gonna see it as. So, like, it's also like, again, you can't argue against the logic of it. I get why he does it because you capitalize on hype, you set things up, and then you capitalize on hype. So it's how you get attention.
I understand it completely. I'm, tired of it, to be honest. Like I'm waiting for it. Like I've been cool with it because I understood the overall what was gonna happen with it. But then I got to a point where, like you said, 2 years, and I've never taken a break. Like I've been reading week to week. I was just like, damn, I'm just trying to see my nigga Shigaraki do his thing. But moving on from that, I do need more time to really understand the quirks of the previous users. Because not gonna lie, whenever a new one gets introduced, I forget about the other ones, to be honest. Yeah, like that's literally, I don't have enough space in my brain to remember all of them. But overall, like, yeah, I think it was a solid chapter. Again, with them reminding us that Eraserhead is like holding on a lot of the quirks, because like he said, he didn't really use much of his quirks. So it's like, it's again just putting up the stakes of like, this is just what's to come.
Because man, Spinner
a lot of
is gonna be
doing, but then when you look at when you're like, continue, my bad.
Spinner is gonna be the MHA's
anyways,
Malcolm X.
All right, Nafisa, keep finishing.
My bad. I'm sorry. Anyways, I was saying that because we got to see a lot of what Deku's doing, and then being reminded that Eraserhead and like that squad is kind of suppressing his quirk. Like I'm hoping to see like if that's going to be stopped or anything. Like if he's going to be able to kind of stop them for a minute so he can unleash all of them or something. Because I kind of forgot about them, so I was like, oh wow, he's not really doing much in comparison, because we're seeing Deku go in right now, but I'm like, he's going against somebody who's kind of nerfed right now. So I'm excited to see how that entails. But also, I think showing Spinner at the end is kind of going to be like, listen, once he is able to use all of his quirks, Spinner's going to be the key to kind of balance that, I guess. Pretty much it. The chapter was solid.
Bandwidth is in the trenches.
10 out of 10 episode. Y'all better watch that. Yeah.
It's true. You better watch that Bleach. Now,
yeah,
so I saw that. Hey, y'all ever seen that movie Glory with like Denzel in it where he cries the one tear?
All right, so like I was saying, we're gonna have Watkins go ahead and give his final thoughts.
This is a fun chapter. I don't have a lot to say about it either, except when I read it, I got some inspiration because of Spinner. So he really likes to. Spinner's a very hungry boy, as you can see, because all that drooling and all that. He's very thirsty and very hungry. So, I had to put his face up, and at first he wanted to go to the Red Robin, but Red Robin didn't do anything. So go to the Golden Corral. Hey, that might be fine. End my night at the what was it? The Lost Unicorn from GTA 5? I don't know. Anyways, I'm excited to see what Spinner does. I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see what he can do and what he does, what it does with this whole plan that Shigaraki has, or All for One. I don't know, but I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. And of course, this second quirk, I don't think I got a chance to even say anything about it, but I really like it. It reminds me of, it's basically, to me, I don't want to say a better Fajin, but it's a quicker Fajin, which I like. That's kind of cool. Yep, excited for the next chapter. I can't wait to see what happens next.
All right. Let's see. We got Volt.
This is like, in a lot of ways, this is like the pinnacle of what the Deku Wave foe rivalry that has been building up, and like everything that All For One has like been trying to do and trying to set up, thrown back in his face. And like you said, Anarchy, he's basically on the receiving end of like what it would be like to face All For One. That same terror, that same inability to really do anything. And he's not built like All Might. He wasn't able to utilize a power and really he's going up against an All For One that like learned how to really control powers, because like it's easy to take a bunch of easy to use powers and just spam them all at once, min max. What he's facing right now is somebody who's actually experienced and actually expert and learned these powers. I really love the art. I really love the build up. It's like you can sense it. Shigaraki is almost free. And it's like, and it also proves like all these wrinkles to Deku's mission to save Shigaraki is like he's fighting the kill, right? We need to remember that. He's not going into this thinking, well, maybe Tenko can live. No, he's laying the beat down because there's no other way to solve this. I love all the users being there, and this just feels like the perfect refutation to his ideology, and all of his scheming and whatnot is constantly thrown back in his face. The irony is so palpable. It's delicious. I love seeing this type of, you know what's better than a villain who has their shit handled? Sometimes you just need a villain to hate. You just need a villain who's like competent, who's a weasel, who just like you need to get him out of there. What is he doing? What is he doing? And you're supposed to feel that way because you're supposed to be irritated by him so that the real star of the show can come in and knock everything he's done out of the park. We're almost there. I think this is how it should have been handled. The first half of the battle deal with All For One. We're getting to the second half of this final arc where it's going to be Shiggy season again. And it's just like when you see All For One like stumbling around in the Vestige world, it's like he's riding a bull, and it's like it's just trying to buck him off. Like it's almost there. Deku's almost there, and we're gonna get that full quirk Shigaraki, proper Shigaraki versus Deku. That's really cool. Also supplementary, the author's comment when he says, "I said it was gonna end a year ago. Doesn't look like it's gonna." I'm sorry. It's going to end a year from now. It looks like not going to happen anymore. That's more reassuring. And yeah, really, really good. It's going to be a tough 2 weeks, but I got a feeling some major stuff is happening really soon beyond just fighting. There's going to be a switch around. So that's my take.
All right, Fish.
You know what? Shout out to AFO, man. This nigga was crying and shit. That's still my goat, even though this nigga was crying in the beginning of the chapter. Real men cry. I don't know if y'all knew that, but real men do cry.
Yeah, they cry all the time. What you mean?
I don't even know how that man produced tear ducts. That man like 200 years old.
Come on, because you hating. That's why you don't understand. But anyway,
no.
Check this out, man. AFO is the GOAT still. I'm sad he's about to be out the paint. Shigaraki about to reawaken and come back. That is really hype, though. I'm glad that people have come to realize that Deku's not about to just breeze through this fight. Like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of like people on Twitter thinking, oh yeah, Deku, he's doing his thing. He's using gears better than Luffy. Oh, Deku about to get his shit stomped, bro. But I'll let y'all enjoy. I'll let y'all have fun for now. Let y'all enjoy your MC while he's shining right before Shigaraki comes back. I'm really here for the villains, honestly. I keep it a beam with y'all. I'm really here for the villains. That's my energy right there. And Spinner, y'all ain't ready, bro. But I don't have much to say. It was a cool chapter. I'm just excited to see what my boy Spinner, excited to see what my boy Shigaraki does. You already know whose side I'm rocking with.
Fred Hampton of MHA.
This nigga, Archbishop East.
It's time for me to take us home.
Yes, take us home.
Yes, sir.
All righty. Listen, man. I ain't gonna listen. Y'all ain't gotta worry about turning your volume down to the end. All right, and I ain't even gonna be long. I just like to say a few things, man. Listen, I can run through what everybody else ran through, but I'm gonna keep it short and brief for the most part. Listen, man. Fucking, I already told you. We already see how this is going, and now once again, as we get further in, everything just makes more and more sense. As to somebody in the background. Who got that TV on the background?
Liberty commercial watching ass.
All right. So basically, Deku getting his shine, it's cute, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's really gas to see my boy doing his thing. But once again, this isn't the true fight we really been waiting for the entire series, because this really once again just feels like, oh, Deku's just a conduit for one for all. Like, this is everybody else getting their licks in and Deku getting his lick in too, but everybody else going in just to like this is the previous generation's battle once again. Even what's the chapter? This title of this chapter again? A chain of events across the ages. So once again, it's always tying back to this, tying back to that. But guess what? These niggas not the niggas here right. Well, for all one, he the nigga right here right now, but it's supposed to be Shigaraki. He's coming back, and Deku is a nigga here right now. This is a battle of old niggas. It's time for them to. They getting a little thing in now, but when it's time for the real, like the next generation to rise and do their thing, that's when it's really gonna pop off, and that's when the character writing is gonna reach the peak, and a lot of shit y'all been waiting for, y'all gonna get. Please don't tell me you think Bago gonna get the shit he got, and Endeavor gonna get the shit he got, even fucking Tamaki gonna get the shit he got, and there's nothing for Deku. Please stop the cap. Just because you didn't get something when you won it doesn't mean you won't get it at all. Let's remember who we dealing with here. All right. So glad we found this battlefield. It dragged, but guess what? In the long run, when we get to the shit at the end of shit, and the shit start moving real, we got the slog out. We got the worst part out the way. Now it's time for premium gas. I've told you niggas for a long time about Spinner. All right. Niggas was waiting like, oh, I'm not much of a Spinner fan. I'll wait until he does something. This and I'm like, bro, invest in the Spinner stocks right now, bro. Because them niggas gonna bang. And when I tell these niggas for the bang, I can't wait to come back to the next chapter and show y'all niggas these shits really fucking bang. Spinner really gonna have to put Mike in the pack, and I fuck with Mike. But for me personally, I don't know about y'all. I put Spinner and Mike as the greater fight between the two, because you could do the mutant agenda with Disgustus, which is the guy with the mask and the spider arms or whatever, and it showed you they both got their mask. They could both get the mutant thing going for themselves. But Spinner and Mike have more weight as to that's Spinner needs Kurogiri to free his best friend. That's Shigaraki's old best friend, and Mike is trying to protect his best friend. That hits more on an emotional level, tying in together rather than just like I'm a mutant. Well, you can just do that with Disgustus and showed you on the side, and showed you still get his shit. Because I told watching that MHA, I was trying to tell y'all these advisors ain't no joke, bro. Y'all can sleep on them if you want. Them niggas really ain't no joke. Shocker just got hold basically compared to everybody else. But once again, y'all not seeing what they really packing. But it's okay. Y'all get caught off guard by a lot of these advisors. Watch when they start packing up heat. Y'all gonna be real shocked. But hey, man, appreciate y'all coming to the late night stream. It was real fun. After hours, after dark, church at night type shit. I could fuck with it and vibe with it. We really almost out there shit. And, really appreciate y'all for coming. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat. And as we sign off, wait, I almost forgot.
You get really ignorant right now.
I almost forgot something. That's crazy.
Oh, wait a minute. That's crazy.
Nah, run that back. Because I remember last year, you niggas was talking about this shit ended in one year. Oh, he gonna cut this down. We ain't gonna see it. He rushing. What's that, nigga? Run it back one time for me, nigga. What that shit say? 10 months ago, I said it was gonna end of the year. I'm reconsidering that. I told you goofy ass niggas before. I got faith in my nigga, bro.
Look at you.
At the end of the day. Off screen this, off screen that, rushing this, rushing that. Written in the sand, I told you niggas before, bro. The math isn't mathing. Why would you put a headliner fight first? If he wanted to rush this and cut this off completely, he could have he could have had all the lesser fights and build up into the shit like like Mashall's doing right now. A regular crescendo into your classic. Oh, this is the headliner climax. Nah, this nigga want to reach around, work around, do little spin shits and mumble. It look like mumble jumper right now. When I swear to God, when a full picture come together and all the pieces lined up in a domino effect, take hit, nigga, I'ma fucking be there, and you better be there, nigga. With me, you gonna be square. So on my mama, on my crew, niggas on my back. Let's get it jacked up, nigga. Because I'm in the country. And I appreciate y'all niggas for coming. And you already know what we do. Hell. I appreciate y'all coming to Church of MHA. Y'all to go. Shout out to all the niggas.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
And sign it off.
All right, y'all. We're gonna head out. Let's see. I don't know. Does anybody want to do a stream Sunday?
We can.
I'm up for some Bleach content. Like we could talk about that gas episode.
That ending was god tier.
Squid, don't get me demonetized.
So wait, there's no chapter this Sunday?
No chapter this Sunday. MHA's on break.
Yeah, I'm down to do it just like a regular just discussion stream. We just talk about whatever, bounce around. That'd be fun.
Shoot the shit.
Yeah, shoot the shit. That'd be fun, honestly.
It's just
We can do a Sunday OVA. We ain't done one in a while.
Sunday OVA.
Y'all better have some interesting weeks so we can talk about it.
I mean,
y'all better have.
We got a whole issue with Jump coming out, so
I mean, Fish already got
wild.
Fish already got surgery, so I know he got about 3 baby mamas on the way. But that's
oh my goodness.
Yeah, one of them she pulling up
You're
tonight.
underestimating. You got a cube bat. That's like to this 27. My guy.
No, that's all good.
Running up the numbers.
We don't want Fish being that
numbers
fertile
on the
now.
board.
He's gonna mess up the game.
Fish and Aniki babies gonna be playing around.
I'm about to be the next Nick Cannon.
Oh no! All right, don't be Nick Cannon, kids. He's not a good role model.
Don't be Fish Cannon. You're right.
Fish Cannon.
All right.
Hey, Fish Cannon kind of crazy though. He got like 30 baby mamas. Like it increases by the second.
This man just. Anyway, you know what? Let me not get to the Discovery Channel. So I'm gonna just say I like the utilization of the vestiges here. I'm really liking the fact that we're concluding the classic tale of One for All versus All for One. Yes, Deku will still have One for All going forward, but the idea is that this classic, this ancient battle, and I like how they specifically even mentioned, that they're syncing up like Redstone, like the quirks are resonating with each other. So we're getting that battle of the spirit that will inevitably allow, All for One to be taken out from inside and out by Deku and Shigaraki, completely phasing him out. And I think it'll be kind of fascinating to see if that, prime AFO body does manage to reach there and he sees that his personality has been eradicated from the quirk, what his perspective is going to be, whether we'll see that peaceful acceptance that a lot of the All for One like main body seems to somewhat have, or like that idea of like he's going to be dead one day and that's why he has to do this. So if we see more of that, and then that kind of would distinguish that it was the All for One quirk personality trait that was more pushing towards the body and living longer, whereas the All for One that's like the person outside of just what his quirk is, comes down like that. Which I also think it's kind of worth noting that even though, like we talked about, All for One basically has the power of All Might's body, you could argue he is still effectively quirkless, even if you ignore the spawning extra body parts and stuff like that. He is effectively quirkless, but what that also means is that in that moment, the only tool or kit available to him was the quirk that he was born with. All for One, effectively a person without power that is consistently having to connive and steal and take it from others to be anything, a person whose existence is reliant on all of humanity to progress, cannot be so selfish as to only focus on themselves. And when somebody who has been handed that power through generations takes that and then focuses on the collective and somewhat neglects the self, and we've seen the negative sides to that too, though we do kind of need to paint that a little more harshly just for the sake of making sure that my hero doesn't accidentally pass on to the harmful message in the execution of self-sacrifice. But to that same degree, like the person who's like focused on everybody else now has access to an array of people's quirks who were focused on the needs of the collective, and they're utilizing that power to focus on the person who built up solely the individual. So All for One is kind of fighting with just his own machinations, his wills, his idea, and his skill and prowess, and he's losing terribly because in reality he lacks all those things, and it's always been everything else around him that has lifted him up and enabled him to do or achieve anything. So cool chapter. I think we like are setting up a pretty wonderful thematic conclusion to All for One's arc. And I'm just gonna look forward to reading that with you guys. And that's all.
I just want to add one thing. Just looking at the discourse off of this chapter, just the way people just talk about MHA in general, I'm like, damn, we need to bring Roe v. Wade back. Some of these takes should have been aborted.
Oh snap! All right, we are out,
Hey,
y'all.
yo.
Squid
Out,
went
out,
wild
out,
at
let's
the
go.
end.
Yeah.
Hey, yo.
That is not an officially Church of MHA sanctioned stance. Do not try to hold all of us accountable for